You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high, cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold up, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up. Weekdays, catch us live, somebody. Let's go.
Good evening. Good morning and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys all doing well out there. Hope the show finds you in great spirits, because another day above the dirt is always be a blessing, love. Tis always a blessing, love. Let's not forget that, guys. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. What a day. What a day it has been. A lot of craziness has been going on. A lot of some updates. Not a whole lot of updates, but some shocking stuff revolving around this case. And of course, there's some other things we didn't get a chance to talk about earlier. So we're going to use this today, this evening, a chance to have some conversations about some things. I didn't get a chance to talk about the Grammys, really. I didn't get a chance to talk about the Epi files and all that. So we got a lot that we're going to get into. And of course, there's some breaking news information that's absolutely shocking. We now have new details about what possibly happened to Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy Guthrie. And we have got to get into this, okay? I'm keeping an eye on this case because it's brand new, it's fresh, and time is of an essence here. She needs her medication. They need to find her so that she can get what she needs so she can be alive, right? So she can survive. Well, and of course, bringing awareness to this hopefully helps get her home as soon and as quickly as possible. All right? So do me a solid, everybody. Yeah, the situation is absolutely sad, but it's devastating as well. But we're going to talk about it. You know, a lot of you guys may have missed the conversation we had earlier today, so there will be some recap on today's show. Okay? So please do me a favor. Do me a solid. Hit that like button down below. Crush it. Do what it do. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on these other platforms. If you are watching on these other platforms like Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, Twitch, Kick, make sure you hit that follow button. Subscribe right here on my YouTube channel, the main place where it all goes down. Subscribe right here on the Pascal YouTube, the Pascal Show YouTube channel. Of course, go and subscribe to my second channel, the Pascal Show Clips. Please and thank you. Hit that notification bell. Set it to all so you know whenever we go live, whenever we upload, because honestly, it is random. Okay? And we're keeping an eye on this main case. We're keeping an eye on this. But we got a lot of other things we're going to be talking about today as well. So get ready, strap in. Get your libations, your coffee, whatever you're watching, whatever you're drinking while you're watching the show, and get comfortable. Make sure you hit that notification bell, set it to all, okay? Hit that join button down below. Become a member of the family. Become a family member. Check out my Patreon, and of course, check out right there, PascalMerch.com. Please and thank you, PascalMerch.com. Okay, guys? All righty then. We got to get into this conversation. There is a lot of craziness going on, definitely, especially revolving around the case of Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy Guthrie. No one knows where she is. So I'm just pulling up this photo so you guys can see this too. No one knows where she is. And it's a really devastating situation because one moment, she was fine. She was there. She was doing her thing. 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, the mother of today's show co-host, because there's many hosts on the show, but co-host Savannah Guthrie. She's made a name for herself. Let's be real. She's got a massive name. It's the Today Show, for crying out loud. All right? But nonetheless, the mother of Savannah Guthrie, Nancy Guthrie, was apparently in her home. Came back home after going to church. Seemed like everything was fine until the very next day when she was supposed to be at church. And she never showed up. So what happens? They call family. Someone goes, hey, she didn't show up to church. Family goes to the actual house. Some family member does and finds the house I guess in disarray. Not looking so good, right? And that's when they finally called 911. That was about noon Sunday, yesterday, when they made that report with the police. Now there has been an ongoing desperate hunt, search for Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy Guthrie. And no one knows where she is. One thing is for sure, though, there was a press conference with police. The sheriff did speak out. He did say after this was at their second press conference, he said, we are now considering this a crime. The house is a crime scene. A crime has occurred in connection to the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. So now we don't know where she could be. No one knows who may have pulled up to the house, done God knows what. Now, I agree, Lori Lou. I really do hope that she had cameras, at least ring cameras, strewn or something, strewn about the house, because this is some scary stuff. Now we're getting some new information, though. Okay, now we're getting some new updates. Now, if she did have cameras in the house, well, hopefully they weren't. Hopefully they were dumb. Okay, hopefully these monsters, because I feel like it's more than just one person. I'm just going to be real. I think it's I just feel like it's more than one person. You got a not so able-bodied person being taken from their home, right? And I'm sorry for getting morbid, but I don't think there was only one person. I truly don't think that. You got somebody who's not able-bodied. Now we're getting new alleged information about what could have happened to her moments or during the actual abduction, which we are going to be talking about here very briefly. But nonetheless, it makes me wonder if there was more than just one person involved in taking her. Because could only assume if there was a struggle, doesn't matter if she is not very able-bodied or not. She is still a human being. She is still 150 pounds. Like, so I'm not talking about her weight. I'm talking about her weight. Does that make sense? Now, if she was not willing to go, one person dragging her, I just don't think they could do it as quickly and as seamlessly as it seems like it did, right? So it does make me wonder if maybe there was two people involved. And I don't mean anything about her weight. She's 5'5" and 150 pounds. You see what I'm saying? I just don't think, and exactly, Rebecca, I just don't think she wouldn't put up a fight. And maybe that's the reason why they notice that the scene at what was left behind at the house gives clear indication that there was a struggle. Now, I get it. She's 84 years old. I get it. But she's still, I'm sure, a feisty individual. If I were her, shoot, I'm just saying any person's they're going to use every bit of their might to make it very difficult for that one, let's just say that one person, to try to take them out of their home. You see what I'm saying? There would be a struggle, at least to a certain extent. If there's signs in the house that show that there was a struggle, that's what tells me that I don't know if this is only one person that did this. This is possibly two people that did this, but that's just me shooting from the hip. That's just my gut reaction, my thought, because it would be very difficult to try to get any person. That person could be 250 pounds to 90 pounds. It doesn't matter. It'd be very difficult to try to get somebody to drag them out of their house, put them in the car without some sort of serious struggle going on. Now, here's the other thing, too. I know, like, Peg just asked this. Also, Alicia just asked this as well. We haven't heard anything about anyone asking anything about a ransom. There has not been any conversation about any type of ransom so far. There's not been any contact with family from what we know so far from an outside entity that may be connected to her disappearance. All we know is that she was taken from her home. And now they're saying it is most definitely an abduction, which is absolutely terrifying. Okay. Now, if there was conversation about cameras being inside the house or cameras around the house, that may have slipped my mind. Okay, my memory. But we will probably be doing some. We'll be going. We're going to be circling back to all the information that we heard this morning, because of course, more and more you guys are just getting savvy to this case and care. And so I'll try to give you guys as best of information as I know, and share that with you guys as well. But this is a scary time. This is a scary moment for the Guthrie family. I can't believe that this is even. I really can't believe that this is even real. I'm just going to be real. I am just shook. Okay, I am just absolutely shook about this situation, because you feel like this is something that you see in the movies. You see what I'm saying? This is something that you see in the movies, not in real life. And the only reason why I say this is it's so scary to think this is solely because, and let me just bring her back up here again. Savannah Guthrie is a name. Yeah, I know she's not Tom Cruise. Okay, I know she's not Tyler Perry or Bad Bunny or Billie Eilish if we're going in the Grammy conversation. Okay, she ain't Lady Gaga, but at the same time, she is Savannah Guthrie. You see what I'm saying? So you see what I'm saying? Okay, like it feels like it's from a movie, and I feel like some of this maybe, and I don't mean to make anybody feel bad, especially the Guthrie family, especially Savannah, but there is a part of me that feels that this may be connected to her line of work. That's a possibility. Or this is just some random act and it just happens to be Savannah Guthrie's mama, which is wild if that were the case. What are the odds? You see what I'm saying? Again, let me repeat this one more time. We saw the house, and I'm going to pull that up so you guys can see the house as well. But we just saw the house. Let me see. Do I have it up here? We saw the house, and it's in like a neighborhood. It's a very nice looking neighborhood. I mean, it's a $1 million house. So it's going to be in a nice neighborhood. It's going to be in a nice spot. But if you really think about it, this was most definitely a targeted attack. This wasn't just some on the willy-nilly, just having fun for ish and giggles. Let's just pick some random house. There are plenty of other houses on that street. Look, let me just blow this up so you guys can see this. And, there's plenty of houses elsewhere. There's a house over here. There's a house over there. There's a house down here. There's plenty of other houses. So if it was, if it was just straight up random, this attack, that would make no sense. None. So in my personal opinion, this person, my theory, targeted this house. For what reason? That's what we'd like to know. Okay? That's what we'd really, really like to know. But I'm telling you right now, beautiful home from what I'm seeing. I mean, this angle, okay? Very nice looking home, $1 million house, clearly Savannah, or you never know. We don't know how her mama rolls. Her mama might be rolling good too. You never know. But I'm assuming this is being, this was paid off or paid for by the kids or by Savannah. Savannah makes good money. She works for the Today Show. It's good money. Okay. So this isn't just like, well, this was just a random act. Hell to the no. This was targeted. And why? Until I hear otherwise, I truly feel that this was a targeted attack. Now the question is, why? Why was this poor woman targeted? Why? So again, this is very strange. But to remind you guys, she went missing. She was reported missing on Sunday. She was last seen alive and breathing Saturday night around 9:30, 9:45 p.m. Saturday night. She was supposed to go to church the very next day. She went to church on Saturday, came back home. She was planning on going back to church the very next day, and she did not go. She was a no-show. So someone went down there, or someone called family, basically saying, hey, she's not here. Okay. And then they went and found that the house was in disarray. Apparently the door was wide open. Front door was wide open with her nowhere to be found. So a lot of us are wanting to know what the heck happened here. And now we got some new information, which we are going to get to in just a minute. But let me play this for a hot minute so we can get a little bit of recap of what we were talking about earlier this morning.
We believe now, after we process that crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime, and we're asking the community's help. This community has always stepped up to help us solve some pretty tough crimes. I'm looking for that again. This is a 84-year-old lady who suffers from some physical ailments, has some physical challenges, is in need of medication that if she doesn't have in 24 hours, it could be fatal. So we make a plea to anyone who knows anything about this, who has seen something, heard something, to contact us. Call 911. We don't need another bad tragic ending. We need some help.
Can you elaborate at all on what makes you believe it's a crime scene as opposed to someone who left home and just couldn't find their way back?
Well, I think I told you she is very limited in her mobility, right? We know she didn't just walk out of there. That we know. There are other things at the scene that indicate there was she did not leave on her own. We know that.
Yeah. She did not. He's like, you heard the struggle. We talked about it earlier. There was quite a lull when he tried to explain, like, he's like, she didn't leave on her own. You know what I mean? Like, clearly something's up. Clearly something went down. And this poor woman is nowhere to be found right now. Now, what's really interesting about this, somebody said this in the chat, and I was going to even say this too. And I'm glad that somebody said this in the chat too. Something to think about. First things first. She went to church on Saturday. Someone dropped her off from church on Saturday. So somebody pulled up, picked her up, and then took her, right, to church. And then came back and dropped her off. Now, from what they're saying, someone like within the church, it could be two different things. It could be either she went to church with another churchgoer, another person of the congregation that she knows very well, and then they dropped her off. So the question is, if that is entirely true, who's that person? Who's the person who picked her up and dropped her off? And could there be a connection here too? Number two, this could be an Uber driver. Let's not forget that too. You know how news travels, and sometimes the news will be wrong, right? Those details could be off. She could have taken an Uber instead of driving herself to the place, right? Someone picked her up and drove her to church. Okay, that's number two. So there's a possibility of it being an Uber driver. And if it is an Uber driver, who that person be? Who is the Uber driver? Could it be that she, maybe they had a conversation. She said something. I don't know, that could possibly make people go, she says a little bit too much info. Maybe she overshares a little bit. Like, my daughter is such and such. That could be it too. I'm sure she's very proud of Savannah, right? So there's that possibility. Okay. That is a possibility. But hold on. That may not be, I mean, you never know, right? It could be an Uber driver, or it could be somebody who literally is a churchgoer who picked her up and dropped her off, picked her up, took her to church, and dropped her off after church. But then she said she was going to church the very next day. Was she going to drive herself? Or was that person supposed to come back and pick her up? This is all very important information to ask. Hear me out. The reason why I say this is because if somebody went to pick her up, and maybe there was a plan to pick her up the very next day, why would they need to call family to go all the way down there to find her gone inside the house? Do you get what I'm saying? Because if that driver was, member of the congregation, let's just say a friend that was supposed to go and pick her up, wouldn't they know immediately as soon as they pulled up? Oh, the front door is open. She's gone. Where could she be? You see what I'm saying? That's if she had plans on having somebody pick her up to take her to church the very next day, which allegedly was the plan, to go to church the next day. We don't know if she had planned to get picked up by somebody, but you see what I'm saying? That just seems a little bit funky. It smells a little funky at that part, right? But we don't know the whole timeline. What they told us is she got picked up and dropped off at this place, right? At her home. She got picked up from home, went to church, came back Saturday night. Last seen at 9:45 Saturday evening. Then the very next day, she didn't show up to church. So then family calls her, not family, somebody from church who realized she wasn't at church called her fam and basically said, we're very concerned because she ain't here. Then they go down there and they see the house in disarray and she gone. Don't worry, we're going to be running that back. We're going to be running that timeline again here in a second. But if somebody went to go pick her up on Saturday, wouldn't that same person possibly be going and picking her up the very next day to take her to church in the morning? Some seems weird, right? Some is tasting very foul, in my personal opinion. Don't worry, we're going to be getting into the meat and potatoes here in just a little bit. But like I said, I just wanted to give you guys that little recap. Something ain't tasting right. Clearly, there's foul play. We already know foul plays here. We could do the dun-dun-dun for the whole doggone show, for this whole subject matter. But something ain't right. Something ain't right. Something ain't right.
A mystery unfolding in Arizona. The 84-year-old mother of NBC host Savannah Guthrie is missing, and the sheriff moments ago say the home is now a crime scene. And with that, welcome to the Monday edition of America Reports. I'm John Roberts here in Washington, and welcome this afternoon to you.
Good to be with you, John. A little bit of a alarming story to kick us off on the beginning of the week.
And I'm also curious if the Today Show is just going to be focused on nothing but this story. Because I feel like, obviously, they're very, very much connected to Savannah, right? So I feel like they are going to, like, there's a part of me that's wondering, would they stay? You know what I mean? Are they going to stay on this story the entire time with updates and just talking about this? I don't know. It's weird because when you have a host become a part of the story, you wonder what the news station, like what the TV show does, right? Do they make her the story or not? Random thought, but think about that, right? Think about that. Hold on. Let's hear this a little bit. Sorry, I had to ask that. It's just, are they just going to talk about this all day long? And then, yeah, Savannah, we're going to talk about that too. Savannah allegedly dropped out of covering the Olympics this year as well. Understandably, if her mom ain't here, she hasn't been found yet. Yeah, I'm going to be focused on, I'm not doing no news. That's just me though. right? So I don't blame Savannah not covering the Olympics this year. This takes full focus, right? But let's go.
Jillian Turner in for Sandra Smith. Police say that all of this began Sunday morning. Somebody from Nancy Guthrie's church happened to notice she wasn't at service, called the family. When those family members arrived at her house, they couldn't find her. So they dialed 911. Police say they responded to that call at around noon on Sunday.
The attention now.
Hold on. Let's hear that one more time. Let's get that right.
His church happened to notice that all of this began Sunday morning.
Sunday
Somebody
morning.
from Nancy Guthrie's church
Boom.
happened to notice she wasn't at service, called the family. When those family members arrived at her house, they couldn't find her. So they dialed 911.
So again, I hate to beat a dead horse, okay? I hate to drill this into our heads, but this piece of information I think is pretty important. So they say she was dropped off, like we heard before. She was dropped off. Then the very next day, people at church realized that she wasn't at church. So instead of them going down and checking on her, they called family to be like, go on down there. Then family members went down there and found out that she was gone. Ain't nobody knew. See what I'm saying? She hits the ride with somebody to church on Saturday evening. Then she got dropped off. Then the very next day, I guess it was like a 10 o'clock church or something like that. I'm assuming very early church, she wasn't there, right? She wasn't there for the early mass or service. Somebody from church called the family. The family went down there. Door was open. She gone. Did she ever get back home? I know that sounds weird, but could she have not made it back home at all? I know that the house is in disarray, but I don't know. Something seems weird. She gets dropped off, plans on going to church the very next day, early in the morning, I'm assuming, at least a 10 o'clock mass. Family goes, or the churchgoers go, hey, where's Nancy? She's not here. They call family. They go down there. They find the place in disarray and she's gone. So nobody went. So was she supposed to drive herself to the church, to the service, or not? You see what I'm saying? I'm sorry for like drilling this, okay? But this is just a burning question. It's killing me, okay? Because it just doesn't seem to make full sense. And there's something here that could be connected to why she disappeared. Who drove her? Please tell me law enforcement is investigating and asking all the right questions to all the right people, okay? But whoever dropped her off should be number one on the list of talking to them. First and foremost, whoever dropped her off is allegedly the last person to see her alive and breathing. Allegedly. Did they go inside? Did they hang out for a little bit? Or was it straight up like, I gotta drop you off and I gotta run and do my other things? Something's off, guys. Something's weird. But we're gonna continue. We got miles to go before we sleep.
Police say they responded to that call at around noon on Sunday.
The attention now turns to surveillance cameras at Guthrie's house because the sheriff says, quote, she did not leave on her own. We know that.
Hold on. Sorry, one more time.
They couldn't find her, so they dialed 911. Police say they responded to that call at around noon on Sunday.
The attention now turns to surveillance cameras at Guthrie's house because the sheriff says, quote, she did not leave on her own.
So we do now know, confirmed, that house. And you got $1 million home. You best have some security cameras, baby. Ladies and germs, for those of y'all who live in the laps of luxury, okay, and you have a night, it doesn't matter, okay? It doesn't even matter. Doesn't even matter if you even have like a $50,000 home. I don't care. Put mother-loving cameras all over that mug. Okay? You'll thank me later. Okay? So good. They had cameras in the house or cameras around the house, and they're doing what they need to do to find out what's going on. But damn, that is crazy. Okay? Let's see. Family, Meech 2, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. But I don't normally do the super chats until much later, but I saw this, so I wanted to make sure that this is being said. So family dropped her off after having been out for dinner. So that's good to know. Thank you, Meech 2, for that super chat. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so very much. So it's family members that dropped her off. That's weird, don't you think? I mean, that's not weird, but then they're the last ones to see her alive and breathing. So what happened? Okay. Like I said, I got questions. The math needs to start mathing. And there's something weird about the time that she got dropped off to the time where she just disappeared. So what's up with that? We got to connect the dots somehow. Family dropped her off. So she went to church. Then I guess they went to a nice Saturday dinner. And then they dropped her off at her home. Who's the person who dropped her off? Who's that family member? I'm curious.
We know that.
All right, senior national correspondent William LaJeunesse is live in L.A. with all the details we need to know this hour. Hi, William.
Well, Jillian, let's start at the top, right? Here's what we know. Nancy Guthrie, last seen Saturday night around 9:30. The family drops her off at the house. Again, first reported missing the next morning when she didn't show up in church. So the family goes over to the house. They didn't see her. They check the backyard, neighbors. They call 911. The home is in northeast Tucson in the foothills of the Catalina Mountains. There's no sidewalks. Streets are very hilly. House about 3,000 square feet. It's worth about $1 million. It's not atypical of the neighborhood in any way. So if you're a burglar or a thief, there's no reason to choose this house over another unless you have a reason. Now, police brought in the search dogs, the volunteers, the helicopters, nothing.
Targeted. Just so you guys know, targeted. So why? What is going on here, right? What is going on? Hold on, let me see something here. I'm very upset by this. Have watched Savannah Lawyer since Court TV. Oh, so she was Snoops said, or Snoop just said she was on Court TV. Is that true? I didn't know that. If that's true, that's very interesting. But nonetheless, wow. Still, no matter what, obviously a lot of people have been watching Savannah for decades, right? This is most definitely a targeted attack. But now the question is why?
Inside the house, however, police did find something to call this a crime scene.
Wow.
They would not say, however, why. Was the house turned over upside down looking for assets, a safe? Was anything taken other than the victim, jewelry or art? Was there any sign of struggle, furniture, clothing, blood? We don't know, and the sheriff is not saying. What we do know is that while 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie shows no signs of dementia, she does have physical limitations that requires daily medication to stay alive.
This is a 84-year-old lady who suffers from some physical ailments, has some physical challenges, is in need of medication that if she doesn't have in 24 hours, it could be fatal.
So police are asking for the public's help, any surveillance or ring camera video. However, those cameras are typically not activated over more than about 20 feet. So if a car goes by, the camera won't necessarily pick it up unless the house is gated and the camera is on the road. Also, Tucson is a night sky ordinance. Very few street lights. Again, if a witness may hear a car, but they may not be able to identify it go by at night. You need the make, the model, the color to help narrow down for the license plate readers. Asking neighbors if they saw or heard anything unusual. These housing lots are about an acre, a little more, so you're not necessarily going to hear a loud voice or a window breaking.
Yeah, this is These are the moments when you wish that they lived like, in close proximity, like these houses all were built in close proximity to each other. But unfortunately, that's not the world that we live in, right? That's not the world that she lives in. You buy the $1 million home for the space, right? You buy the $1 million home. And again, Arizona, there's a lot of neighborhoods like this, right? Where it's just like barely any lights, barely any street lights. When it gets dark, it gets dark. Arizona's beautiful. But that's one thing that's kind of tragic about some of these spots. When it gets dark, it gets dark. Man, this is just crazy. But let's continue.
The family has been very cooperative with us. They're working with us. They're staying in touch with us. They have complete access to anybody on this department. Savannah has been in touch with us as well. Our hearts go out to them. This is their mom.
No
now,
doubt.
If Miss Guthrie had a door camera, you'd presume they'd have an image and they'd share that with the public. They have not done that. I saw an updated photo, Jillian, of a dog. Maybe someone heard unusual barking, but looking at the breed, it's not a guard dog. So at this point, it doesn't sound like the police have a lot to go on.
That's interesting, too, because if the dog wasn't going crazy, that could also tell you something, too. And of course, this is just me shooting from the hip, guys. OK, obviously, we are still learning a lot about this case and we're keeping an eye on this. And again, by us discussing it, hopefully we get that energy out there so that she gets home safe and gets home alive. But here's the thing. He just said something about the dog. Now, the dog could be nothing. It could mean nothing. Or it could mean that this person knew the dog and the dog knew them too. So if there is a dog, I'm gonna run that back because this is the first time I'm hearing this video as well. If there was a dog, that could mean that this person or persons knew the dog and the dog knew the person. You see what I'm saying? That's possible too. Why the dog didn't go and start tripping? That might be it too. But here's the thing.
Jillian, of a dog. Maybe someone heard unusual barking, but looking at the breed, it's not a guard dog. So at this point, it doesn't sound like the police have a lot to go on.
Does anybody know what kind of dog she had? Does anybody know what kind of dog she had? Now, here's the thing. Nicole, let me ask you something. Let's keep it a bean here for a second. What's up with the brother? Why is everybody saying that the brothers? Why are people alluding to the brother being weird? What's up with the bro? What gives off the vibe that he's weird? What happened? I'm just saying, like, is there something that happened that I don't know about the brother that you know what I mean? Like, I'm walking into this situation new too. So if there's something about the bro that I don't know about, please let me know, because that could be a defining factor, or it may be nothing at all, right? Yeah. What's up with the bro? You know what I mean? And why got to be the brother, man? Why got to be the brother, man? You know what I'm saying? Damn, y'all. It's like, oh, the brother, he probably owes some loan shark a bunch of money. That's why she was taken. I'm like, what did he do? Come on now. What did the brother do? You know what I'm saying? I'm going to have to Google it. I'm going to look it up. Okay. He looks off, or likes does the booger sugar? Word. Okay. Word. Okay. That just might be his look. You know what I'm saying? Like, he may have never touched snow. You know what I mean? They live in Arizona. There's no snow in Arizona. Last I checked. Okay. So he may have never touched snow in his life. You know what I'm saying? You just never know. Damn. But I'm gonna look him up. I'm gonna look him up in a second here. But again, though, if you see what he just said about the dog, it's not like a guard dog, but at the same time, if a dog's gonna see distress with their owner, they're gonna start yapping. It doesn't matter if the dog's a a lap dog, or if the dog, see, even my dogs are tripping. They trip about every little thing. You see what I'm saying? That they ain't guard dogs, but they are at the same, you know what I'm saying? Like they guard dogs, but they ain't guard dogs. You feel me? Yeah, but here, hold on. Don't you try. Don't you try. They will bite the hell out your ankles. Okay? And try to snip at your testicles. Okay? Don't even try. Don't even try at this crib. But still, they're yappy. So again, you know, if she has a dog and there's distress, you'd think that the dog would start yapping, right? Regardless. But here's the thing. Maybe the dog knew the person. That's a big factor, but you'd still think that if there was some sort of tussle, they say that there was clearly something going on. So if the dog saw their owner in distress, no matter what, they'd start yapping, right? They'd start barking, right? So something's weird about this, okay? And Chris, love you too. Love you too. It's all love here, y'all. It's all love. Speaking of love, if you guys don't mind, okay, hit that like button down below. I see a gang of y'all in here. I appreciate all y'all. I appreciate the energy. Thank you so much for being here. Let's get those likes. Can we get those likes to like 1K? I mean, that's less than half of y'all in the chat, okay? If we can get to 1K, that'd be really, really appreciated. Let's just get that as a goal. 1K real quick, okay? Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Subscribe. We are keeping an eye on this case, okay? As things develop, we will be talking about it until she is found, all right? So please show some love, hit that like button down below. But let's continue. I feel like that is a big factor. Doggy not yapping. I feel like maybe this person knew the dog and the dog knew the person. I just don't think the dog is that lazy. You know what I'm saying? But wilder things have happened. Let's continue.
Back to you.
All right, William, we're going to be tracking this all afternoon long. Thank you very much. John?
Sure.
All right, let's dig a little deeper on this with former NYPD Lieutenant Darren Porcher. Let's play what the sheriff, Chris Nano, said earlier today on his thoughts about where this investigation is going. Listen here.
We saw some things at the home that were concerning to us. We believe now, after we processed that crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime.
So as a former investigator, Darren, you're all very familiar with this. What might the police have seen that would lead them to come to that conclusion?
A disheveled appearance in the house would lend a level of concern as it relates to her leaving against her own will. And with that being said, police are going to have to draw down on a couple of components. The first thing, which we refer to as a special category missing, because she's 84 years of age, a search should have been conducted in that house. I believe that occurred, and I believe they had dogs to assist. But moving forward, what we want to do is extract her credit report, because in the credit bureaus, you have a police liaison that'll afford you the information as to when certain cards were used. This can be quite telling because we're creatures of habit. We generally go to the same places every day. So what police can now do is connect with those establishments that the victim allegedly used on a sense of regularity. The second piece is the cell phone records. It bifurcates in two components. You have something we refer to as LUDs and tolls. LUDs and tolls merely gives you a printout of the numbers that were called and the calls that came in. The second component would be whenever you use a cell phone, your call bounces off of a cell tower. That is very instrumental in showing the route that was taken if she used a cell phone from leaving her residence. And that's something that the police can drive in on to find out what direction that she went in.
Okay. Well, okay. One thing's for sure. She left everything behind. So that's kind of a bit of a curveball here, right? Sure that they could retrace things from the past before her disappearance, but she left everything behind. All of her belongings. her cell phone, her ID, her credit cards, all of that, all at home. This person, whoever took her, didn't just take her, or didn't just rob her place and then take her. They just took her. So what's the story behind that, right? And that's interesting, by the way. Sorry for the left turn, but I know you guys, some of you guys are a little late watching, like delayed. I didn't know that Nancy Grace and Savannah Guthrie used to work together. I think that's fascinating. I think that's absolutely fascinating. But it's crazy how, you know, where people get their their origin story, right? So it's interesting. So she used to be into true crime. That's very interesting. Nancy Grace, Savannah Guthrie, that's news to me. All right. But still crazy with Nancy Guthrie being nowhere to be found. The question is, what was caught on camera? I think that's what we'd like to know too. Because I feel like if they had already seen the footage and that they knew that somebody was involved, like a family member, that person would have been arrested by now. You see what I'm saying? Like that, y'all. And they would have a whole perp walk by now if it was a family member. If they already seen the footage from the home, if there is footage to look at, because this person could have gone in there and deleted the files. But those things, you got to go up to the cloud and all that. Like certain webcams, certain security cams, they have a backup storage, right? And it goes up to the cloud. So again, you'd think that police would already have their guy by now, or they would have already put out an image of this particular person or persons if they had already seen the footage from inside the house. But you never know. You never know. Let's continue.
Darren, the sheriff, when asked, said they're not sure right now. They don't know whether Nancy was targeted because she is Savannah Guthrie's mother or not. What kind of facts on the ground are they looking at and evidence to try and tease out that line of thinking here?
One of the things that I would have done is I would have had a crime scene on evidence collection unit work the house. When I say work the house, meaning look if you can possibly lift some prints that can identify an individual other than the resident of that location. And by capturing that information, it can give you further leads as to potential individuals that were in the house, and you can possibly track those individuals as well. Lastly, we have something referred to as license plate readers. Now, these are components that are attached to police vehicles that capture license plate information, but it does far more than that. Whenever you have red light cameras, those cameras are not activated just when you run a red light, but they're always on. So they have the ability to capture information at these intersections when cars enter or exit those locations. In addition to that, those license plate readers will also capture information as to whenever an individual enters a toll road or bridge. This can be quite telling as to if she used her vehicle or someone else used her vehicle to navigate through the roadways in Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah, the flock camera network really is quite extensive. It is a great tool for police. And the sheriff was saying, we need to rely on technology, and he was lamenting that there's a lot of resistance at the local level to employing AI to assist in enhancing all of that as well. So the sheriff said that this does not now appear to be a search operation. They did search from, I think, noon on Sunday all the way through until this morning, which would be a suggestion that they don't think that she just wandered away. So you wonder, given Savannah Guthrie's celebrity, the fact that she's a co-host of the Today Show, could this have possibly been an abduction for ransom?
Well, traditionally, when you have an abduction for ransom, there's a ransom note or a series of demands that follow. That information hasn't come to fruition at this stage.
I think that's strange too, because if they were asking from the monies like this, you see what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? If they were asking for money, there would have been a ransom note of some sort by now. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, Nicole B. They booger sugar. They would. I'm kidding, but they would call immediately and be like, "We have your mom." You know, whatever, right? And I would assume, right? We've seen enough movies in this world of people being abducted and being held for ransom, right? I know it's not, the movies aren't the same as real life, but you'd think that they would be instantly like, we got him, we got her, you know, give us X amount of dollars or she gets it. You see what I'm saying? Like, we would have been there by now, right? We would have been at that stage, but we haven't heard anything at all. So what's going on here? What's really, really going on here, right? Let's continue.
Is something that happens relatively quick. So because we didn't gather that information or it hasn't been presented to law enforcement, I highly doubt that that was the cause, it being a ransom. But another thing that's very important, it's impossible, physically impossible for you to enter or exit a room without leaving a trace of your DNA, unless you're wearing something we refer to as a Tyvek suit. Those are the white suits that you'll see crime scene techs don when they go into these locations. So
Hazmat suit,
I mentioned the earlier part in working the room. There has to be some level of a trace of DNA, be it a hair follicle or skin follicle, that would be present in that room.
Sure.
And I think that is going to be the focal point of what police are going to use to move forth to possibly finding an abductor, if that's the case in this scenario.
All right, well, Darren, we got to leave it.
Yeah, I mean, if there's DNA, I mean, I would assume DNA was left. I would assume DNA was left behind. Now the question is, who is that? If there is DNA, who does that DNA belong to, right? Man, this is tough. All right, so of course we have got to, let me just show you guys this piece of information before we go into the title of the show, okay? And of course, we're going to be doing some deep dives into this, but we talked about this earlier, but I'm going to share this with you guys again, just as a reminder, okay? They're saying that obviously there was some evidence found at the home showing that she did not leave on her own accord, all right? So let's take a look at this. So Savannah Guthrie's missing 84-year-old mother, Nancy, did not leave her $1 million home of her own volition, police fear. And this is now what a source is saying to the Daily Mail. So her stuff was left behind at the house. Keys, ID, purse, phone, everything, guys. This is what an insider close to the Star told the Daily Mail on Monday morning. It's not a situation where she voluntarily went away because she didn't take any of the things you would normally take if you voluntarily went out. So yeah, no phone, no purse, no ID, no keys, no nothing. She left everything behind. Savannah doesn't believe that her mom just went out on her own accord, the source added, with the Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos backing up that theory at a press conference, which we just saw snippets of it. We do, in fact, as he said, we do, in fact, have a crime scene. So foul play is definitely afoot. So Sheriff Nanos said this too. She is very limited in her mobility. She did not just walk out of here. There are other things at the scene that indicate she did not leave on her own. She was last seen at her home in Tucson, Arizona, around 9:45 on Saturday night. So she was dropped off by a family member after going to dinner. I guess she went to church, then she went to dinner, and after dinner, she was dropped off. She was supposed to go to church the very next day, and of course, she never showed up, as we are going to read here too. She does not have dementia or cognitive decline. They keep emphasizing that ad nauseum because they want to make sure that people don't think that she had, I like to call, a spell, and that she just decided to walk out into the desert, right? So Nancy left her home without taking medication that she needs to survive. This is what the Pima County Sheriff's Office and Today show host Jenna Bush said on Monday. Nancy's neighbor, Paul Arnaud, said he'd heard Nancy vanish shortly after being dropped off from a church function by a friend on Saturday night. So they say by a friend. See what I'm saying? But this is, of course, what a neighbor just heard through the grapevine. So we're hearing that she was dropped off by family members. Okay. Who is that family member? Who is the last person to see her before she disappeared, either late that night or very early that morning? He said the alarm was raised after she failed to turn up for a Sunday service the next morning. So, of course, this neighbor said, we heard the front door was open or was left open. So a lot of us are worried that this was an abduction because they did a thorough search throughout the entire day and early evening of the entire area, and they could not find her. Another source also said, I don't think they can say what happened yet because it sounds like it was bad. It's not like she was mentally unwell or wandered out, if you know what I mean. So they also understand that Nancy was not suffering from dementia or any form of cognitive decline, which they've been saying. NBC News staff held a prayer circle on Monday to pray for Nancy's safe return home. Homicide detectives from the Pima County Sheriff's Office are investigating Nancy's disappearance. The FBI is also said to be aware of this particular case. Pima County Sheriff Nanos said the hunt for Nancy is still being treated as a search and rescue operation, but said he could not rule out foul play. So Customs and Border Patrol have been joining the search because Nancy's relative proximity, her home, it's in a relative proximity to the actual Mexican border. So this is what we have right now. Of course, there's more information, which we're going to get into right now. This is very interesting. So now they're saying that Savannah Guthrie's mother was dragged from her home, okay, and abducted. Interesting. So let's take a look at this. And then they are hunting for a mysterious car, allegedly, right? So mother was snatched from her bed in the middle of the night, guys. The man leading the investigation told Daily Mail in an exclusive interview. So 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, Savannah Guthrie's mother, was allegedly dragged out from her bed in the middle of the night. So we already know that she's been reported missing. She was reported missing at noon on Sunday by her family. She hadn't been seen since the night of January 31st. Now, haunting new details about her disappearance have come to light, with investigators believing that the elderly woman was taken from her own bed. Nancy lives in a $1 million home in Tucson, Arizona's affluent Catalina Foothills area. Her phone, wallet, and car were still at home when police began looking for her and detectives searched her property. Lights in the common area were all on, and Guthrie's front door was unlocked, but there were signs of forced entry. That would be a dead-ass giveaway as well. So there was forced entry to get into her front door. Interesting. Very interesting. Police are going door to door to collect camera footage from neighbors that could lead to a suspect, and police are also searching for a vehicle of interest, apparently a source said to the Daily Mail. Nancy Guthrie had been out with the Today Show anchor's sister for dinner. Thank you for that information right there. So she went to dinner with Savannah Guthrie's sister. So the theory about the brother may be off. By the way, I think he's like a pilot, or he used to be like a fighter jet pilot. Yeah, like he's a flyboy, just so you know, her brother. So I don't know about that booger sugar so much, guys. Yeah, quick little Google search, and it's like, bang, whoa, okay, he's a big deal too. So yeah, he a big deal. Really? 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 We talking about Denzel. We talking about Denzel. Come on now. Come on now. We talking about Flight. We talking about Flight. Nicole. I'm done. Moving on though. Okay, we talking about Flight. Denzel, baby. Okay, so that's a movie. Okay, let's move on. Yeah, I know. Yeah, he's retired, but I mean, he's a pilot. A fighter jet pilot. My dear Lord, right? That sounds badass, in my personal opinion. But moving on. Okay, kids seem to be doing really great for themselves. Mama raised them very well. Long story short. But here's the thing. The sister is the one who dropped her off after dinner. The sister. Okay? I forgot the sister's name. I'm going to have to look. Well, there's a whole article about the whole family here in a second. So we're going to be looking at that in a second. But today's show's anchor sister, Savannah Guthrie's sister, was the one who dropped her off after dinner. Okay. Apparently, playing. Okay, she had been out with Savannah's sister for dinner and an evening of playing mahjong before she disappeared. I don't know that game. No disrespect. I'm gonna have to look that up now. Mahjong. Interesting. So they were out playing games, dinner, and they played mahjong. Okay. She did not walk away. This is what the sheriff said to the Daily Mail. We believe she was forced to leave that residence. It was against her will. That's massive. That's a massive deal. Again, I would feel so dumb if I was the sheriff and we find out she just straight up walked out the door. You see what I'm saying? If it was a spell that she was going through, like a dementia episode, I doubt it. Okay? I doubt it. But crazy, right? So she was playing mahjong, having dinner. Like, okay. She had her wits about her. If it's the game I think it is, like, I always see it, but I've never known the name of it, right? It's a very, you gotta have your wits about you to play that game. Sheesh. That's so crazy. But anyway, moving on. Her mom's badass. Her mom's like very intelligent, just like her kids. Right? So moving on. This is about an 84-year-old woman who is sick, who needs her medications, who in the middle of the night was taken from her bedroom. If she's alive, she needs her medication. It's been well over 24 hours. Yep. That in itself could be fatal. And that's scary. When asked if abduction is too strong a word to describe Nancy's disappearance, Nanis replied, no. We know she could not walk out of that house. Talking to her doctors, we know she had some physical elements that definitely limited her. She is very sharp-witted, of good mind, suffers nothing in the form of any kind of dementia or Alzheimer's, nothing. So we know she would know what was going on around here. So, okay. This was, in our opinion, someone entered her home in the middle of the night and removed her. It could be more than one person. I think it's more than one person, in my personal opinion. We don't know that yet. Nanos also said nothing suggests that Guthrie could have been smuggled across the Mexican border, which is only 60 miles from Tucson. There's nothing to indicate cartel or border issues. Nothing like that. This also follows the news that the Today Show anchor, 54, Savannah Guthrie, who is set to co-host the opening ceremonies for the network alongside Terry Gannon at Studio San Siro in Milan, Italy, on February 4th, is likely going to pull out of the gig. So she was supposed to go out there and be there for the opening ceremonies for the Olympics, and now she's going to have to clearly step down and not cover the Olympics. I don't blame her. This is just such a tragic situation to, this is a tragic situation, a tragic reason to not be able to go and cover the Olympics, right? There's no way Savannah will be there. This is what an NBC source said. Police on Monday said Nancy's home had been treated as an active crime scene after aspects of the scene prompted grave concern. Nancy left her home without taking medication that she needs to survive. This is what the sheriff said. Jenna Bush Hager spoke through tears on the Today Show, morning show, saying, I know her personally, and we want to just report. We want to just report, too, that she takes daily medication and she needs them for survival. She's without her medication. We are thinking of our dearest Savannah and her whole family right now in our prayers. I mean, this is some scary stuff, guys. You know, this stuff really scary stuff. So now we are hearing that this situation, she was dragged from her bed, guys. Dragged, snatched from her bed in the middle of the night. Sheriff said there could be more than just one person involved, but there definitely was a struggle, and there's definitely signs of foul play going on here, without a doubt, without question. Now the question is, who is this person, or who are these people, and why did this happen the way it did, right? And I really want to know what they've seen, like what police have seen. What have they seen, right? But let's take a look at the family, right? Everybody. Because at this point, as Nicole B just said earlier, everyone's a suspect. And yeah, that's true. Everyone's a suspect until they can prove otherwise, right? Until they have an alibi or there's proof that it wasn't them at all, so on and so forth. And you get what I'm saying. The investigation is still ongoing. We are still wanting to know what's going on here. They have not arrested anybody. They have not said anything about any persons of interest or any suspects. So really, until they cancel everybody out after they do their due diligence, everyone is a suspect until proven otherwise, unfortunately. So let's take a look at this. Because, I mean, it can't be Savannah, because Savannah's not there. She flew in after her mom went missing, right? So it can't be Savannah. Like, it's not like she went in there and did that, and that would just be nuck and futz, right? So let's just say that really quick, okay? That'd be insane if she had any part in making her mama disappear. So I'm just putting Savannah Guthrie off to the side, okay? But immediate family, the one person that saw Nancy before she disappeared, I'm looking at that. I'm looking in that direction, guys. Okay? I'm looking in that direction for sure. I'm not saying that she did anything, but I'm saying the last people to see her, definitely that matters. Okay? So Savannah Guthrie's family, so meet her, meet her mom, her husband, and more. So let's take a look at this. Today's show anchor Savannah Guthrie has a tight-knit family off air. The journalist is the youngest of Nancy Guthrie and Charles Guthrie, Guthrie's 3 children, and has 2 children of her own with husband Michael Feldman. So in February of 2026, the daytime Emmy winner's mother became a subject of a missing persons investigation. Yeah. And this is crazy. Where is she? Where could she be? Right? Let's continue. She released a statement, which we've already said before, but I'll say it again here. On behalf of our family, I want to thank everyone for your thoughts, prayers, and messages of support. Right now, our focus remains on the safe return of our dear mom. Nancy and the rest of the Savannah's loved ones have joined the NBC personality on the Today Show over the years. So let's take a look at the family. So of course there's Nancy, which we already know. And look at that. Look at her hand right there. I'm not saying this has any connection to the her disappearance, but that may have been like a she suffered a really nasty fall or something like that. You see the cane. So yeah, she's not that physically able, right, to walk long distances, etc. So her husband, Nancy and her husband lived in Melbourne, Australia when the couples welcomed Savannah in 1971, with the family relocating to Tucson, Arizona 2 years later. She was at a stay-at-home mom to Savannah and the two eldest children. So that's Annie is the oldest, and Cameron is the brother. So her sister, Annie, is the one who was the last person to see Nancy alive, like Nancy at home. Okay. While celebrating Nancy's 78th birthday via Instagram in January 2020, Savannah gushed that her mom was a model of what a parent should be. Two years later, Savannah described her selfless mother as a consistent doer of the right thing and the hard thing, as well as a well-read and curious truth teller. Nancy was sharp as a tack and of sound mind when she did not show up to church on February 1st and was declared missing. Cops discovered a very concerning scene at her home, which we already know about, and they declared that she most definitely did not walk out on her own. She suffers physical ailments and was in desperate need of medication as the search progressed. Now, husband passed away. The dad passed away very early on. He suffered a heart attack. He was a mining engineer. So Nancy became a widow at 46 years old. So that's a long time, man. She never remarried. That's crazy. He died when Savannah was a senior in high school, with the former attorney reflecting on the shocking tragedy on Hoda's podcast, Making Space, in 2024. At the time, she remembered her father as an amazing, magnetic, joyous, charismatic, incredibly loving, warm, kind, forbearing personality. Now let's go into the brother and the sister, Annie and Cameron. That's Annie. This be Cameron. Let's take a look. So she has an older brother, Cameron, and an older sister, Annie. So here it is. Cameron is a former F-16 pilot, with Savannah praising her siblings' retirement in an August 2018 Instagram post. I have never been more proud of my big brother. He has flown for our country for 26 years and continues to serve proudly in the Green Mountain Boys, the Vermont Air National Guard. He is the pride of our family and one of the country's finest. That's pretty cool. Annie, for her part, appeared on the Today Show in 2017 and gushed about her bond with Savannah. My sister and I are like the sun and the moon. She said at the time, her sorrows are my sorrows, and her successes are my successes. Okay. Not much there. Okay. Savannah's ex-husband. So Savannah has an ex-husband. His name is Mark. Mark has a cat, and he's the ex. Yep. So her first marriage to former BBC journalist Mark Orchard in 2011. After the former couple called it quits in 2009, Savannah felt like a failure. This is what she said on the podcast. During an episode of Reclaiming the Previous Year, she admitted it took years to recover from the horrible and sad divorce, which broke her heart. She did not disclose further details about the breakup, saying, "I'm not blaming anyone, but I don't really want to get into it." Now her new husband, Michael Feldman. There he is. Mikey Mike. Same year that she got divorced from, the divorce from Orchard was finalized, she began dating Michael Feldman. The couple got engaged in 2013 during a Turks and Caicos trip, with Savannah later admitting that she dumped Feldman the same day She dumped Feldman the same day he got down on one knee. That's interesting. She explained it on the Kelly Clarkson show in 2025 that she believed that they should, quote unquote, let each other go because the political consultant still hadn't popped the question after nearly 6 years together. Interesting. Hours later, he surprised his weepy then girlfriend with a proposal. So she said, I'm done. We're not staying together. And then he said, but wait, I bought a ring now. Will you marry me? And then they got married. They walked down the aisle in March of 2014 in Arizona. The duo have since welcomed daughter Val and son Charlie, in 2014 and 2016, respectively. So, okay. So nice, happy family all together. Cute kids, cute family. She had a marriage that didn't go well, but then was able to find love again. Okay. So now we know these people. Okay. We know the family. You got Annie, you got Cameron, you got Michael Feldman, you got Mark Orchard, her first husband. Okay. And then, of course, you got the mama. So where did she go, right? What happened here? Where did she go? But let's continue. We got more to look at. So let's get this conversation going, shall we? Let's take a look at this.
I want to take you out now to Tucson, Arizona. The search is on for Nancy Guthrie, Savannah Guthrie's mother, who has been missing. And we want to now, looks like we're getting some neighbor sound right now. Let's listen in on Live Now.
Walking, not walking, driving. Yeah.
What's this like to see this happen here?
Sad, and we're really concerned. Obviously, for her family, and obviously we truly hope that they find her.
This is a quite safe.
Safe, shocking, surprising. Yeah, very much so.
Can you give me just spell your first last name for me?
Jeff, Jeff, and last name is Lamy, Lami.
How long you lived up here?
6 years. Yeah.
What was when you found out what all this was about? What did you think?
Sad, concerned, and we truly hope that they find her. Yeah.
Did everyone know who her daughter is?
I did not actually. She was a person that's lived here. We had no idea. She was just a person in the neighborhood who was part of the neighborhood.
How would you describe sort of the brush around here? I mean, it's not a classic.
It is the desert. Can be treacherous. Not right now, but there's rattlesnake season. Thankfully, not right now. Cactus. I mentioned the javelinas earlier. So it's the desert. Absolutely.
And what about the community? Close-knit? Everyone knows each other?
I mean, it's a safe community. It's a suburban neighborhood.
Do you think she could have been kidnapped?
I can't say that. And I truly
hope.
She wouldn't have walked out, though, right? I truly hope that that's not the situation. I truly hope.
But you don't think she could walk out in this, like you were saying, it's cactus?
I would have no idea. It's rough terrain, but I have no idea. Yeah.
And people were out walking yesterday night to look for people. Is there any plans going forward for the community to really rally together? And
as I mentioned earlier, there's this incredible community group of volunteers who do search and rescue, and they were out in force yesterday. So, and they've asked all of us to look through our yards, our neighborhoods, our brush. And unfortunately, my understanding is that nothing's been found.
Do you have faith in your neighbors to really step up in this?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
Do you know the name of the community group? If they go on anything on the Facebook?
Oh gosh, I would contact the sheriff's department because I know that they work in conjunction with them. Actually, I see people on the mountain who get lost or get dehydrated or what have you, and they're out in force rescuing people. I mean, they're an amazing group of people. I think the sheriff's department would be a good conduit for that.
And then I'm coming in late. Had you heard anything yesterday at all around the time they're saying?
We noticed the helicopter. We noticed the sheriff's department helicopter. We noticed the drones. We noticed the large response, and then learned later on that unfortunately she was missing. So thank you for your time. Okay, for sure. Okay, please. We'll do them all. Let's grab them both.
All right, so neighbor talking to both local and national media that has descended on Tucson for the missing 84-year-old woman. And we are learned today earlier from the Pima County Sheriff's Office that Nancy Guthrie's home is now a crime scene that they are investigating. So again, we are going to be talking to TMZ at the bottom of this hour on the latest there for the search for Savannah Guthrie's mother. We'll be bringing that to you in just moments as well. And welcome back, everyone, to Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Mike Page. Thanks again for joining us. And next up, we want to talk about the big breaking news coming from southern Arizona as the search continues for today's show anchor Savannah Guthrie's mother, who has been missing for the last couple of days. And now the Pima County Sheriff's Office says that her home is a crime scene. Nancy Guthrie continues to be missing at this hour. Here's a live look at the neighborhood as the search continues. Want to go out right now to TMZ's Michael Babcock, who TMZ continues to cover this really strange story, Michael.
Hey, Mike, absolutely. I could not believe it when we heard this sheriff this morning and the way he categorized the story, because I think many people, when you hear, Mike, that you've got this 84-year-old woman who has gone missing, I think you start to think, okay, could this be a situation where, not understanding fully what was going on, and she wandered off, a sort of a silver alert type of situation. That's not what this is. And the Pima County Sheriff made this very clear this morning. So this is in the Arizona area, Tucson to be precise. And Nancy, who is Savannah's mom, is 84 years old. We have been told that she is not in good physical health. So just getting up and walking away is not an option. She was not capable of doing that at this point in her life, Mike. And you listen to the sheriff, and he says she's last seen about 9:30, 9:45 Saturday night. She is reported missing Sunday afternoon. And when they went to the home, law enforcement, they saw things that they described as being concerning to them, that they believed indicated that this was in fact a crime scene. And now they have gone and taken the step to say, yes, in fact, that is exactly what this is. She did not get up and walk away, that there was a crime that was committed here. There was some sort of foul play, and they are desperately now trying to find her.
Yeah, it's so terrible for the family, of course, including Savannah. I mean, NBC is about to have a really, really popular week. I mean, we're going into the Winter Olympics on Friday, Super Bowl on Sunday.
I forgot about that, because the Super Bowl's this Sunday. You got the Olympics going on here soon as well. Like it's good. And then the following weekend is Valentine's Day weekend. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot going on. And I just hope that doesn't really deter anything or slow anything down when it comes to this stuff.
C is telecasting. Michael, what do we know about on air for Savannah Guthrie? Is that going to be off limits now for a while for her?
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Mike, and that she was, even more so than typically when she was obviously hosting the show every morning, the Today Show, that she had some extra duties here now, and we're certainly going to have a lot of extra eyeballs with the Olympics and with the Super Bowl coverage. Obviously, it happening to be NBC's year to broadcast the Super Bowl. So, I've got to imagine that this is going to change a lot of things. She was not on the show this morning. I would imagine and yesterday on Sunday when all this started to unfold, that she probably got on a plane and went over there to Arizona. She has released a statement. She has thanked everybody for the outpouring of support and love.
And we already know all this. I mean, this is a few hours old. Okay. Just so you guys know, it is a few hours old. But of course, if you know anything, please, I urge you guys, okay, to alert local PD. If you know anything, if you saw anything, you heard anything weird, anything of that sort, please let them know. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. Speak out. Call 911 immediately. Something's up here. Something's not feeling 100% here. Okay. Yeah, Kingdom. Okay, Kingdom Heist. This is odd. Okay, this whole situation is odd. What say you guys? What do you think is going on here? Did she just get abducted like that, like that, or what happened here? Do you think somebody was watching every move she made? And that's the other thing too. White Gled Gladiola. That's one thing I'm trying to find out. If that neighborhood is a gated neighborhood, because if it's a gated neighborhood, then somebody has to get the code to be able to get in, right? Remember, her car was left behind and all of her belongings. So somebody pulled up and went in and took her. But if it is 100% random, it just seems very targeted, guys. Like I beg to differ on this one. It is just so specific. They didn't go to anybody else's home. Why this home of all places? Why Savannah Guthrie's mama? Why? I don't think it's random. I think this is absolutely targeted. But I will. That's what I think. Until we find out more information, I could be 110% wrong. Our gut feeling could be absolutely wrong, and this could be a complete random act of evil. That's possible too. But I don't know. You know what I mean? So. And if I don't know if it's a gated community. I'm going to try to see if I can find any information about that. But let's take a look at this.
Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie. She was last seen outside of her Tucson home on Saturday, and now the Pima County Sheriff's Office says Nancy Guthrie may be the victim of an abduction or kidnapping. 12 News journalist Sean Rice is live outside her home in Northeast Tucson with what we're learning. Sean?
Really? What?
Yeah, Tram and Troy, good afternoon to you both. This investigation really took a turn yesterday evening when the Pima County Sheriff's Office found several of Nancy Guthrie's personal items right inside her home where I'm standing along Camino Escalante in the Catalina foothills area of Northeast Tucson. They tell us they found her wallet, her cell phone, and her car, but Nancy herself was nowhere to be found. Homicide detectives with the sheriff's office immediately responded, and that is when the investigation took that turn I mentioned. The sheriff's office just emailed me just minutes ago saying what you all really mentioned, which is that they believe, and investigators believe, that she was taken against her will, potentially in the middle of the night. That could include an abduction or a kidnapping. Let's take you to some drone video we shot this afternoon. This gives you really a bird's eye view of this area we're talking about in
I want you guys to see this, okay? This is one of the main reasons why I pulled up this clip, okay? So, you know, we're getting a much cleaner shot of the house. Beautiful house from what I'm seeing, okay? Very pretty house, very nice, $1 million home, lots of space, a whole lot of space. So what's going on here, right? There's got to be ring cams. It doesn't look like it's a gated community at all. It does not give me gated community vibes at all whatsoever. But, you know, that's just me looking at one shot here. But one thing is for sure, something happened here. What the hell happened? Big ass house like this for that little lady. Crazy, right? Beautiful home, though. I mean, that intruder could have come up from back here and gotten in, hopped the fence, you know, hopped the wall that's there. But then at the same time, how did they take her away? They had to have put her in a car. You see what I'm saying? Messy. I don't know if that's a it could be. That could be a little guest house in the back right there. That is possible. But then that's the question, like, if that's the other thing too. If there was somebody living in that house, in that guest house, that pool house, whatever you want to call it, I feel like that would be the first person they would have been talking about. But they didn't say anything about anybody living there. She lived on her own, right? All by herself in this big house. It's wild. But let's continue. And the pool. You got the pool over there. You got a nice little grassy backyard, nice little grassy knoll back there. I mean, they hooked it up. They hooked her up. This is a nice house. Nice area.
Northeast Tucson. This is a very affluent, a very safe area. This is an area where kidnappings and abductions or missing person cases even are few, and the safety for locals is high. The Pima County Sheriff's Office began to scour this area in search of the 84-year-old woman Sunday at around noon. That's when family members reported her missing. Authorities say she was last seen in person at her home the night before at about 9:45 Saturday night. While this does remain a missing persons case, Sheriff Chris Nano says homicide detectives were called out to investigate yesterday afternoon, revealing that inside the home there are signs that a, quote, crime was committed. To preserve the investigation, the sheriff here in Pima County could not divulge any additional details.
Hear that last part again.
Revealing that inside the home there are signs that a, quote, crime was committed. To preserve the investigation, the sheriff here in Pima County could not divulge
a crime was committed to,
any additional details. The sheriff did say Nancy was reported by those family members missing, but the people who first noticed that something wasn't right with her normal schedule was people who she attended church with every week on Sunday morning. And when Nancy no-showed yesterday morning, it was very unlike her.
Nancy Guthrie is a purpose attack. We know she didn't just walk out of there. That we know. There are other things at the scene that indicate there was she did not leave on her own.
There is, of course, a major sense of urgency with this investigation, but
you see that right there? You guys see that those tracks? Hold on, we got to roll back a little bit. It pans down to this.
There are other things at the side that
see that? Now this could be nothing, but that's interesting, don't you think? Could that be tracks from the person pulling up here to get her out through the garage? Maybe not through the front door. Yeah, this is a big ass house, guys. Okay, shoot. But look at these tire marks. They look like tire marks to me. They may not be. And obviously, I'm not trying to, but if you could see, like, that just seems a little bit interesting, right? Now, that's the question, if that was actually there, right? Like, if that's always been there before this person tried to get out of there. Yeah, messy. It could have been somebody like peeling out as quickly as they could. I don't know. But that's interesting, though, right? That is very, very interesting. That could be nothing, but that could be something too. Let's continue.
A scene that indicate there was she did not leave on her own.
There is, of course, a major sense of urgency with this investigation, but one additional detail that makes it even more urgent is this morning, Sheriff Chris Nanos told us that Nancy Guthrie takes daily medications. He described it as if she goes without, or for a 24-hour period without these medications on her, that it could prove to be a fatal time period, that she could pass away without these medications and taking these medications. The sheriff this morning also asked every person in this Catalina Foothills area to check their Ring cameras. I know many people nowadays have Ring cameras on their front doors to check any sort of security systems that they have. Pull that footage, review it over the last 24 hours, and if anything seems out of the ordinary, to report that to the sheriff's office. It could be the missing piece of their investigation. He also asked for vigilance. As I mentioned, this is still considered a missing persons case, so if anybody sees someone who resembles Nancy Guthrie in this area or anywhere in Tucson, anywhere in our state, to call 911 or the Pima County Sheriff's Office. We're live in Tucson. Sean Rice, 12 News.
And Sean, this is so disturbing. I mean, it's so unusual to have an 84-year-old woman kidnapped. I mean, you just don't hear about that. You have to wonder if it's because of the connection to her daughter, right? And where is Savannah? Do we know that?
Right. Yeah, we do. The sheriff divulged this morning that she was on her way here and landed this morning. So she's in the Tucson area. She wasn't at the press conference this morning, nor have we seen her at her mother's house today. But Savannah is here in this area. As I mentioned to you in our 4 o'clock show, it's hard not to imagine a situation where if this turns out to be confirmed, an abduction or a kidnapping, that it may have something to do with the work her daughter does on a daily basis. As a journalist, we're constantly reporting on stories and potentially exposing pieces of information that people don't want out there. And so there's no evidence to this point that I can speak to that that's the case, but I'm sure it's something the sheriff's office is looking into. Send it back to you.
I am kind of curious about that too, Jay. Thank you so much for the comment. Yeah, who reported her missing? Who's the family member that reported her missing? Was it the sister? Was it Annie? It could be Annie. But that is a curious thing that I'd like to know too. Who called and reported her missing? Something.
Thank you very much for joining us on a very.
Yeah, this is crazy. This whole case is crazy. And he's wearing a knitted tie. You see that? He's wearing a knitted tie. Interesting.
Busy Monday night. The breaking news out of Arizona. New information just coming in on the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, mother of Today Show co-anchor Savannah Guthrie. The sheriff telling CBS News he believes she was abducted from her home in the middle of the night. Our Jonathan Vigliotti is there and spoke with the sheriff just moments ago. He joins us now. Jonathan, good evening.
And Tony, good evening to you. The sheriff confirming that Nancy Guthrie was abducted from her home behind me while she was asleep. They found inside life-saving medication and her cell phone. They're now combing through surveillance video. At one point, the sheriff getting emotional as he worried they were running out of time. Tonight, the Pima County Sheriff tells CBS News that he believes the disappearance of Savannah Guthrie's mother was an act of foul play. Is it fair for me to characterize this as an abduction?
I believe she was abducted, yes. This is an 84-year-old lady who, in the middle of the night, while she's asleep, is taken from her home.
84-year-old Nancy Guthrie was last seen around 9:45 Saturday night when family members dropped her home. Then on Sunday morning, a friend called Guthrie's children, telling them their mother had not shown up for church.
I want you guys, because somebody has said, "Oh, it was somebody from church who called it." No, someone from church called the family and said, "Hey, she didn't show up to church. Maybe it was Annie that they called and like, hey, can you please, go check on her?" That kind of thing, do a wellness check type thing. And then family went over there and found that she was not gone, and that's when they called 911. I just want to make sure everybody knows that timeline real quick.
A friend called Guthrie's children, telling them their mother had not shown up for church. They then notified the sheriff's department around noon that day after not being able to find their physically ailing mother.
Again, they went there, found that she was gone, and then they called 911, just so you guys know.
She is very limited in her mobility, right? We know she didn't just walk out of there.
Sheriff Chris Nanos says finding Guthrie is crucial because she relies on daily medication.
I mean, the clock is literally ticking. It's been more than 24 hours since she disappeared. Are you concerned that it may be too late before she is found?
Well, we don't want to go there. Look, we just want to find her.
And officials say this is not a case of someone suffering from Alzheimer's or dementia.
Sharp as a tack. Her mental faculties are there.
Over the years, Nancy Guthrie has made regular appearances on the Today Show.
Love you, Mama.
And she's talked about how much her mom has meant in her life.
The greatest gift my mother gave me was faith and belief in God. It changed my whole life.
The sheriff says they've received more than 1,000 leads, and he hopes security camera videos will help with the investigation.
How is the Guthrie family doing?
They just want their mom home.
And Savannah Guthrie was not on air today as she rushed here to Tucson to be by her family's side. The Guthries are a prominent family here in this community. I asked the sheriff if that could have made them a target. He told me he did not believe so, but added at this point in the investigation, anything is possible, Tony.
Yeah, I mean, I feel with everything being, with all that being said, the fact that they went to this person's home, went to her home and took her, it is to me, this is targeted. Whether that's because it's Savannah and she's a high profile individual, or if it's just targeted because she's an older woman and maybe the people know that she is living on her own and she's living in a really nice house in a very affluent area. That could also turn her into a target as well. But what's interesting though is that it's not like they took her and then took a whole gang load of stuff as well, like cased the whole joint, right? They didn't do that. They just took her. I'm just saying. So if it was something where it's like, ooh, yo, she lives in this area, she's got a really nice home, we just saw her in that really nice house or a really nice car one day, and then they just started following her, just seeing every move she made, just to see what kind of pattern she had, and then they went and attacked. They went and they struck. But the thing is that there was no B&E. They broke in, okay. There was definitely there was breaking in, okay, but I'm saying there was no theft. There was no robbery. So again, the person that they wanted was her. Now the question is why, right? And I bet you Savannah's probably going through every possible person that she's ever crossed in her life and wondering, could that person be connected to the abduction of her mom? I mean, I would do that. I would literally go through every single person in my mind. Like, what could I have done to you know what I mean? I'd go through everything. Okay, I pissed off that person a long time ago. Maybe it's that, or maybe I did this, or you see what I'm saying? I interviewed this particular person, and I know that a lot of people don't like the fact that I interviewed this particular person, or you see what I'm saying? Like, there's so much that I would instantly be like, I'd be looking at everybody. Okay, inside job, classic. Why? You see what I'm saying? Why would I guess that's the main question. That's the number one question. If it was, let's just say, if it was an inside job, okay. I'm just saying, if this was an inside job, you would instantly want to know who's in her life, who's circulating her life on a daily basis that would look at this opportunity to strike right now in this way, and why would they go and strike this way? And again, yeah, it could be a money thing. It definitely could be a money thing, but it seems like okay. Just reading from what we read in page 6, because we don't have a deep dive of these particular people, okay? But from my understanding, Savannah Guthrie makes very good money. She's very wealthy. She's doing just fine. She's got a very substantial job, right? Her brother is doing well for himself as well, I'm assuming. The sister, they didn't really say much about what she did, right? They didn't say much about what she does, right? But that doesn't mean foul play or an inside job. So again, if it was an inside job, why would this person do it? What would be the motivating factor? And again, it's not about ransom, it's not about money, because if it was about a ransom or money, they would have already reached out to the people, to the family by now, and basically saying, we have her, give us money, or the mama gets it. You see what I'm saying? So be pretty wild for somebody to do this, it'd be very, very insane. Right. Somebody said, go on TMZ. Let me see what TMZ's saying. Now I just said this. Okay. I just said this. It's the title of this whole entire doggone show. But let's see. Let's repeat what TMZ said here. Okay. So just so you guys know, yes, Savannah's mother, Nancy Guthrie, apparently was snatched from her own bed overnight. At least that's what the clues are saying. They also said something as well, saying that there definitely was a struggle, that she was definitely taken from her bed, and that there was forced entry. Like they tried to get inside the house, and then later the door was unlocked. So to me, that sounds like somebody tried to get in, then unlock the door so that they would have access to go in and out. I don't know why they would do that, but that seems a little bit weird, right? That seems a little bit weird. But at the same time, they broke into the house, forced entry, but then the door was unlocked as well. Just so you know. Okay? But we'll see what Team Z says, because sometimes they sometimes different articles sprinkle little bits of information that we don't know about, right? So let's look at this. So she was taken overnight, taken from her bed. Okay. So they're just saying she was taken from her bed. Another bombshell in the case of Savannah Guthrie's missing mother. Police tell TMZ Nancy Guthrie was taken by force from her Arizona home in the middle of the night. A rep from the sheriff's office says Guthrie is believed to have been abducted from her home in the ritzy neighborhood of Catalina Foothills. The rep said investigators are looking at registered SOs in the area, PDF files. Okay. They're looking into that in the area while combing through videos and videos from cameras at Guthrie's home, neighbors' residences, local businesses, and traffic lights. Police declined to say whether blood was found inside the home, if the home was in disarray from a struggle, or if there was forced entry. But the sheriff's department said they're talking with the FBI right now, which has a long history of working with kidnapping and missing persons cases. So the sheriff's spokesperson tells us Customs and Border Protection are also involved in the situation because the agency's specially trained canine dogs were used to help search for Guthrie. They have not identified a suspect yet. As we reported, we already know about this. 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie has been reported missing. She was reported missing on Sunday afternoon and was last seen Saturday night at her Tucson home. Authorities previously announced homicide detectives were investigating the case. And of course, we already heard the statement from Savannah Guthrie. So again, no full answer as to what the heck is going on here. They're still kind of playing a lot of things close to the vest. But what we heard in the other article that we just read, there was forced entry. There were signs of forced entry, but then the door was ended up becoming unlocked, and that she was taken from her bed. That's it. That's all they've said so far. Okay, which is very frustrating because, of course, we want to know more, right? We just want to know the truth on what the hell's going on, right? But we have something. Hold on. I got the wrong one. There are people out, neighbors, are doing like a neighborhood search for her.
Well, neighbors here in the Catalina Foothills neighborhood say they're not standing by as this search continues for Nancy Guthrie. In fact, our KGUN9's Jackie Aguilar is here with us now. And Jackie, I know you kind of canvassed the neighborhood and you got a gauge of obviously concern from the neighbors in this neighborhood.
Yeah, Pat, that's right. Neighbors that I spoke with here today all describe this area as quiet and close-knit. And so when they first heard that 84-year-old Guthrie was missing, they say they were all shocked and almost immediately jumped into action. Two women I met here while they were out on their daily walk say that they have been keeping an eye out for any sight of Guthrie that could help deputies with their search.
I'm a neighborhood watch lead, so we sent out an alert to all the neighbors in our neighborhood, so we could be looking for her.
I called my husband to start looking at, other cameras to see if he sees anything.
Yeah, Pat, and neighbors told me that they're hopeful with so many eyes watching that Guthrie is found safe.
I'm assuming there was a lot of shock in the neighborhood too about, this doesn't happen here in the foothills, something like
No,
this.
not at all. Yeah, that's a question that I did ask all the neighbors that I met here today. It's just describe to me what this neighborhood is like, and they're all in shock. But what the good thing is that they're all getting together. It's a big effort here in this neighborhood to find Guthrie.
And it's checking those Ring doorbell cameras or other security.
Yeah, exactly. Like we just heard Sheriff Nano say, check your security cameras, and that's something another neighbor told me too, that she literally said, just like Sheriff Nanos said, check your cameras. I'm letting all my neighbors know. That's what she said.
Yeah, great idea. All trying to pitch in.
Yeah, obviously the neighbors are very concerned. Obviously everybody wants to know what the heck is going on. We got more. Let's take a look at this.
All right, welcome back in here to Live Now
Crazy.
from Fox. I am
This is
Andy
all
Mack. The
crazy,
search
guys.
Continues for the 84-year-old mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. Nancy Guthrie continues to be missing, and investigators.
Is he saying Guthrie? It sounds like he's saying Guthrie, but okay. That just drives me crazy. Go ahead.
Pima County Sheriff saying they're investigating this right now as a crime. And this is the bulletin they put out. A missing person, a vulnerable adult, Nancy Guthrie, 84-year-olds, a 5'5", 180 pounds. As they were asked why investigators believe this Tucson area home is a crime scene, the sheriff said he had limited mobility and said there were other things indicating she did not leave on her own. Let's be joined right now on the ground there at this scene outside the home of Nancy Guthrie, Fox 10's Steve Nielsen. Steve, thank you so much for joining us, and set the scene. How wide of a net are they casting right now?
Well, it's a very large net that they're casting, but I just want to tell you about the neighborhood where we are right now, where this home is. It's in the Catalina foothills, northeast of Tucson. If you've ever been in this area, you know this, but it is very densely brushed all around us. There's Palo Verde trees, cacti all around us. So as you enter off of the street into that brush, you can't see much further than a few feet in front of you with everything that's around you. That's a challenge for these search and rescue teams that are out here. But it's interesting to note that we're told the detectives that are on this case are the homicide investigators, but this is a missing persons case. The Pima County Sheriff's Department helicopter flies just above the palm trees of Nancy Guthrie's Tucson home. The mother of Today's Show anchor Savannah Guthrie didn't show up for church Sunday, so family called authorities. Inside her home, Pima County Sheriff Chris Nano said there was evidence of a crime scene. Her phone, wallet, and keys were still inside the home, but she was missing.
Real quick question, because again, I'm going to say this. I'm still going to say this. This is definitely a targeted situation. But I'm wondering, did she have people who actually worked? Like, hear this. She's obviously not super able-bodied, so somebody's doing the landscaping. Somebody is. I'm sure she's not cleaning that entire house by herself. I'm sure she's not cleaning the pool by herself. You see what I'm saying? So I'm wondering who are the people that she hired that has come in to work in and out of that house? Who are those people? Right? Who are those people? That's a big ass house for one person, and for one person who's not super able-bodied. So I keep wondering, what are the possibilities of her hiring some help, right? Hiring gardeners and housekeepers and so on and so forth, right? What are the chances of somebody finding, knowing that she lives in this place by herself, blah, 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 and took this as an opportunity because she's a vulnerable person, vulnerable lady, right? But again, let me say this again. They didn't take anything. I repeat, they didn't take anything. Unless this person has or people just have some strange bloodlust that they just need to, you see what I'm saying? They didn't take any of her money. They didn't steal her car. They didn't take any, from what they said so far. It's not like she's taken any, they took any valuables from her home. So why would this person or persons do this to this nice old lady? Now, I'm sure police are doing all the investigations, interviewing every single last person that's worked in and outside of that home, because I'm sure, I guarantee you, she had people coming in and helping her. Okay. I'm sure she had a housekeeper. I'm sure she had somebody who was working the like a landscaper and all that would come in, every 2 weeks or something like that to take care of X, Y, and Z. I'm sure she had a go-to handyman that would come to the house if ever there was something broken. But at the same time, if she's gone and they didn't take anything of value with her while they took her, that's weird. That's the other thing too, and they have keys. Here's the other thing that's weird. Now I'm thinking about the keys part. Now the true crime brain is starting to roll. What are the possibilities of this person actually having a copy of a key to the house, goes in, like unlocks the door with the key, but then after realizes, oh damn, I don't want this to be connected to me, so they go close the door while it's still unlocked and jimmy the door to make it look like it was a forced entry situation. Just think about that for a second. You see what I'm saying? I could see somebody doing something like that. They're opening the door, sneaking in, doing God knows what. And then as they're about to leave, they're like, damn, I unlocked the door. You know what I mean? And then they're just, kicking the door open or doing something to make it look like it's all jacked up. But that's the other thing too. If the cameras are working, then you'd see all of this on camera. Hey, this particular person or persons just being dumbasses, just dumbass criminals, right? Like, oh, damn, I opened it. That's if somebody had a copy of the key to the door. You see what I'm saying? I can see that possibly happening. So like, oh, crap. I unlocked the door, right? Now I got to make it look like it was forced entry, but then they left the door unlocked. You see what I'm saying? Just could be a very dumb criminal. Hopefully this person is a dumb criminal, because now it's an opportunity to catch them because they're being dumb, right? But let's continue on. Just a thought. Who was working inside that home, right? Who was working inside that home?
Monday morning, the search was paused.
And everything we've thrown at this. They're going to step aside. We'll call them out again if we need to do more searching. But right now, we don't see this as a search mission as much as we do a crime scene.
By Monday afternoon, though, the search picked back up with deputies in backpacks entering the brushy area around the Catalina Foothills home, with the helicopter circling above.
Shocking. I mean, shocking anywhere. That would be shocking.
Neighbors say overnight, deputies went door to door.
Talked to people, asked to see ring videos, gone through backyards, asked us if we've seen anything.
I think what needs to happen is for there to be some resolution. And I just hope that it's more favorable than it appears to be.
Guthrie's 84, has no cognitive issues and lives alone. Deputies are reviewing surveillance camera video at the home. She's considered missing.
She is very limited in her mobility, right? We know she didn't just walk out of there. That we know. There are other things at the scene that indicate there was she did not leave on her own.
Savannah Guthrie issued a statement saying, on behalf of our family, I want to thank everyone for the thoughts, prayers, and messages of support. Right now, our focus
though, is she's in desperate need of medication. The sheriff said if she doesn't receive her medication in 24 hours, it could be fatal.
Yeah,
I mean, it's already too late now, because 24 hours it's been here and it's gone, right? 24 hours has already happened, right? So, I mean, of course I hate to say that, but medication is absolutely mandatory for her to be able to survive and whatnot. I'm still here. It's very mandatory that she has her medication, but we also got to remember that mandatoriness could already be done, right? It's past that now, right? So yeah, we could sit here all day being like, yeah, the medication. But yeah, we're now nearing 48 hours since she was last seen. So, and they don't know what time she was actually taken unless they actually were able to, get the code to get inside the cameras, to get to the memory bank, to get the footage, to see what actually happened the moment that she, combing through hours and hours of in the middle of the night, right? Showing what actually happened to her. Okay. But nonetheless, if she took something, medication at 9 o'clock on 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday, baby, we're in Monday now, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that it's done. Like either they have something for her or something, I'm hoping that they do. Or I'm hoping that what they think she needs, that is like she's in dire need of, maybe she doesn't really need it that bad. Maybe. I don't know. But I just hope, I'm hoping that she, I hope she survives, man. I hope she survives, because this is scary stuff, y'all. Absolutely scary stuff. Let's continue.
It's so very sad, and any parents who are getting kind of in that older age are concerned about this, because you're not exactly sure. They kind of recovered the wallet, a phone, keys, car at the house, so they don't know exactly where it was. I want to get into the location. You mentioned the Catalina foothills. For our national audience, how populated is it? They're looking at this Ring doorbell. Is that even a possibility?
It could be, as they're going door to door looking at these things, but most of the homes in this neighborhood, they're set off from the street, and there's a wall of brush and trees and cacti in front of it. So you probably wouldn't see much from your Ring doorbell of the street in many of the homes in this neighborhood. It's sort of like if you think of this neighborhood, a traditional home with your fenced-in backyard, but between each one of those homes is basically a full property of brush in between each one. So although it's a neighborhood, cul-de-sac, streets, all of that, it's very spread out here.
All right, Steve Nielsen, thank you so much. What are you hearing from the neighbors? Has she been in this neighborhood a long time? Anything that stood out there?
Well, let's hear this.
Yeah, I talked with one neighbor who's lived here for about 7 years.
Okay, we're gonna skip ahead to the neighbor. Let's take a look.
It doesn't bother me. I've had the same thing. I grew up in the Brentwood area of Los Angeles, and we went through the whole O.J. Simpson murder. Yeah. So this is...
Now you got the Nick Reiner and Rob Reiner murders that are going on that just happened a few months ago. Remember that? That was in Brentwood as well, guys. That was in Brentwood as well. Just FYI.
Yeah. Had you ever seen her before in the neighborhood? How far do you live from here?
No, we had no idea that she actually resided here. We just got a call from Savannah Guthrie, our neighbor, and that was yesterday. And then my husband went through the entire property to see if we could see anything. I just hope that...
woman potentially be missing for over 24 hours. Is that concerning to you at all?
It seems fairly typical, but that mostly happens in South Tucson, not up here in the foothills estates. No, I'm not, I don't have any anxiety or anything. I just, it's very mysterious.
You mentioned that you and your husband kind of looked to see if you could see anything. Did you find, do you have any ring cameras? Did you have anything? Or have you talked to investigators?
No, he just walked the entire property. That's all I really, can say. He just went over it very thoroughly. And anyway, it doesn't appear to be a good situation.
When you hear that the sheriffs say that they have evidence that a crime has been committed inside this woman's home, and that's not far from your own home.
No.
Is that scary?
It is scary because we have a sliding glass door to our back patio. And the other night, my husband, he puts on like the Christmas lights, in the evening so we can look at them. They're still quite beautiful. Anyway, he forgot to lock the sliding door, and then we heard about this, and I said, you cannot ever let that happen again. So
Yeah, that's a little TMI to put on TV. But well, now she probably knows. But they're gonna be locking up that door, that sliding glass door for life. Trust and believe. That's scary. This is all scary stuff, guys.
Around the time that they're saying that she went missing, have you or your husband maybe heard anything at all that would have even given you pause then?
no, I've not heard anything. I was just informed by the neighbor, and then I saw it on my phone, but very little details really at this point.
Is there a message you would give to her family members who are, of course, probably hurting?
Oh, what? It doesn't matter if you're a celebrity or not. It's still your parents. I'm 73 going on 74, and I lost my mother about 5 years ago. And, even at this age, I still miss both of them.
Can you say and spell your first and last name for us?
Yeah, Lisa.
All right, just listening in, that was a neighbor. And even the police say that the family wants to know that this wasn't just someone that would wander off. So concerned as they're investigating this right now as a crime, and just the proximity to the U.S.-Mexico border. It's on the northern end of Tucson, but still in southern Arizona. They say that the Customs and Border Patrol potentially assisting the FBI aware of this investigation. And they did have air assets as well as assets on the ground searching through this heavily brushed area outside the home of 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, the obviously mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. Let's continue on discussing this here on Live Now from Fox and bring in spokesperson for Genesis, former police chief in Fort Worth, Texas, Jeff Halstead. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. And of course, an 84-year-old, sometimes you hear of a silver alert. They're talking about this as a crime, as something that they're investigating in this way. When you hear that, what do you think of?
Good to be with you, Andy, in such a sad array of circumstances. I've been watching how Pima County Sheriff's has covered this. They've done all the right things. At first, you do take this kind of a missing persons approach because you don't have strong evidence of any kind of foul play. But then when that entire search brings up negative results and you go back to the scene and you start processing some of this, and it looks like there could be, elements of a crime. Now it shifts entirely into more of a criminal investigation. The challenge with this area is it's extremely safe. It is remote. There's probably not going to be a lot of like your typical license plate readers or the other like crime suppression type of technology in this area. That doesn't mean they're not going to have a lot of leads or a lot of things to go on. They've done a great job canvassing the area, have an aerial support and drone footage, as well as the volunteer efforts getting into some of this rough area. And once they figured that more than likely she did not leave on her own and all of her personal effects were still remaining in the residence, that increases the complexity of a successful location, because what we usually use for kind of triangulation of different technology devices, that's not going to be available. And that's going to be very, very frustrating for these volunteers, these search team, and these investigators. So a lot of prayers going out to them as they go forward on a very, very difficult mission.
Yeah, they comb the area, and they might have to expand this search rather quickly, as she's also without that medication that she needs to take daily. I do want to ask you about another facet of this investigation, because they say the homicide unit is investigating, which is rare if there's not a body involved in terms of this. Is this just a resource question with an area like Tucson, or do you read into that at all?
Well, no, I don't think it's anything out of the ordinary, because those are the most skilled investigators. They have the majority of resources available to them, as well as the latest technology, crime scene, if they're going to bring in the crime scene technicians. So that's good. It resonates with a major crime or a major criminal investigation unit. So homicide coming in at this point would be definitely a good selection for them to move forward. The challenge with the medication brings into play the speed of this intelligence getting out to multiple agencies across multiple counties, if not the entire state, or multiple states, including the southern border. That's absolutely critical. So hopefully they have an extremely powerful network of getting this information, these flyers and other critical intelligence, so that we can find her faster.
And I think everyone is familiar with Savannah Guthrie. Are they watching her just in passing, obviously, as the Today Show host there for NBC? And Steve Nielsen, our Fox 10 team, did ask the sheriff about the possibility of an abduction just based on the high-profile nature of her daughter. Does that change how officials, how police, how law enforcement look at this?
Well, it's challenging here because you got to remember some of the neighbors even stated she didn't even say who her daughter was. So she probably didn't live a very high profile existence in that area. That area of Tucson is very private, it's very intimate, and it's very safe and secure.
But if you're going on camera and you're going on your daughter's show and it's a popular morning show, people are going to be able to do reverse math pretty quickly. I'm sorry. Sure, she probably laid low and all that. But if you got people that are watching her show, watching her daughter's show, and people know about that, blah, blah, blah. I mean, shoot, you're showing up on your daughter's show, a popular, highly viewed show every morning, 5 days a week. You're going on to the show. People start getting nosy. Right? Especially if they see an opportunity for some sort of financial gain. But here's the problem. There has been no talk about ransom. There's been no demands for any financial. There have been no financial demands. There hasn't been anything so far. All we know is that she's gone. And she left that person took her and left everything behind. So what the hell's going on here? Right? This is definitely, I feel like this is someone she knows. Is it someone that she met in passing? Someone who used to work at that particular house to help out? Could it be a family member? I hate to ask that, but all these possibilities are all on the table. Could there be could it be a family member? Because it doesn't have to be her kids. Doesn't have to be a daughter or a son, or it doesn't have to be her daughters or son. It could be a whole other family member or a disgruntled ex of some kind. I'm just saying. Just because she may have lived a low profile life doesn't automatically mean people don't know that is Savannah Guthrie's mama, right? And if they have some problem with how she covers the news or how I don't know, some people might feel some type of way about how she handled the debate years ago. Right? No, actually, it was a debate and how she had an interview. She had this very exclusive interview with Trump back in the day. And this was right after if I'm correct, after the J6 stuff. If I remember correct, I'm going to have to look it up. But some people might have been holding vendettas against that for the longest time. Like, this could literally be a politically motivated situation, or it could be just some disgusting individual that just saw a vulnerable woman and used that as an opportunity to do some bad. All of it is still on the table. That's what's so frustrating about this, because they're not telling us anything at all. All we know is that she's been snatched from her bed. We heard that from the sheriff himself. He said she was snatched from her bed. He finally gave out that information. He didn't say that during the press conference. He did that. He said that after at these doing these interviews. Because he's finally like, I'm sure he was like, I just got to say something, right? Like, I got to do this. I got to talk about this, right? I got to give him something, right? So again, what's going on, right? What's actually going on here, right? So let's continue on.
So it's highly unlikely that someone would want to target the mother of a media, personality or a media profession. With that said, though, usually they would take more from the residents than nothing, but there could have been a little bit of a sign of struggle. There could have been some suspicious elements at the exterior of the home before they made entry. But the sheriff's doing the right job of withholding information, because if there is a person of interest and they can have successful interviews, can't release too much because that's going to jeopardize a lot of your interrogation tactics.
That's what I was going to ask you. He's keeping some of this information close to the vest, alluding to the fact that this is a criminal investigation, but not getting into too many of the specifics. How important is that to not try to tip off someone about the whereabouts or that understanding that this may have happened?
Well, 20 years ago, it wasn't that big of a deal. Today, with social media and the speed of information being relayed, he could make one statement at a press conference, and within 30 seconds, it could be around the world. So you have to be extremely guarded. And I know it's frustrating for the leadership within Pima County and leadership in law enforcement, because they want to help the media get more information, more facts, and do a better job covering the story. And at the same time, they're balancing this incredibly heavy responsibility of not releasing too much, which would jeopardize a high-profile investigation. So they're walking an extremely fine razor blade line of information sharing and deliverables at these press conferences. They have done a very good job so far, and I strive that they continue to do that so that we can have a quality investigation should it turn out for the worst. But let's keep hoping and praying that they do locate her.
I wish that they would give us a little bit more information so we can, you know what I mean? So we don't have to be like spinning like a top with all these possibilities. We can be a little bit more focused, right? Rather than just being, it could be anybody. It could be this, it could be that, it could be anything, right? It'd be nice if they were just like, yeah, we're looking at this direction. And I get it that they can't give us everything because they might be hot on somebody's trail. And if they say that out loud, the one key element that could make that person move to do something even more, you know, something devastating, right? If, you know, hopefully if Nancy Guthrie is still alive, which I hope she really is. But yeah, you kind of have to leave that on the table here for a bit. Here's something though. I do want to share this with you guys. Now it was about COVID. Yeah. So there was a Savannah Guthrie did a town hall with Donald Trump, okay, in October of 2020. This is right at the height, when everybody was like starting to get locked down. COVID cases were going out the wazoo and all that. I just want to show this really quick. I'm not sitting here saying that this is, that this is a reason why, but I don't know. Anything is possible. There are plenty of people out here that feel some type of way about here it is. This may be something. There may be a connection. There may be something politically motivated here, or there may not be anything at all. And I'm not talking about Trump having his hand in this situation. No, I'm talking about somebody who's lost their freaking marbles that feels some type of way about how Savannah Guthrie may have covered the news during a time. That could be it too. Or they just grew some strange, messed up obsession over Savannah Guthrie and decided to take their frustrations or obsession out on her mom. I don't know, right? But nonetheless, it is something that I'm kind of curious about. I'm just showing you guys this for a second. But this is a conversation that she had with Trump 6 years ago. 6 whole years ago. At the height, he was on his way out the door, by the way. And then, COVID happened. COVID was happening on his way out. Remember? So she had a lot of questions. And it got a little heated from what I remember, the back and forth. So this is very interesting. Let's just take a listen to a little bit of this. Here we go. Oops.
Now, and cures, maybe you can use the word cure, but we have therapies that are absolutely incredible.
I want to pick up on something you just said. You said,
by the way, he sounds so different. You hear his voice, he sounds so different. Have mercy. Let's go.
Rounding the corner.
I believe we're rounding the corner.
Now, 10% of the country approximately has had COVID. That means 80, 90%, 90%, let's do the math, is still vulnerable.
Right.
There's been some talk, including from the White House lately, that perhaps it approves of what's called herd immunity. That's where you basically just let young people and everybody get sick. You try to protect the old people and those who are sick, and hopefully it gets up to a certain level, and now we're all immune. So let's just be clear about it. It also means more deaths. do you support herd immunity as a strategy? Essentially, just let people get sick.
The cure cannot be worse than the problem itself. We did the right thing. We were expected to lose 2,200,000 people and maybe more than that. We're at 210,000 people. One person is too much. It should have never happened because of China. It happened because of China. And you have to get that and understand that. But it shouldn't have happened.
Okay, so we've seen this, okay? This is 6 years old. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that this is the be all and end all and the reason behind it, but I'm just saying, I mean, she has had controversial people, interviews with people. It could be politically motivated. It may not be politically motivated, but nonetheless, okay, yeah, it was a terrible, terrible recording. The audio was trash. I remember that like it was yesterday. That whole conversation, I was like, why did they not have direct microphone, a microphone feed go into the damn cameras, into the world, so everybody could see and hear perfectly what he is saying and what Savannah Guthrie was asking during that time. Now, all I'm saying is that she is somebody who is a face and a name. She has sat down across the table and has been in the room with great people, with great men and women, right? So I'm not saying that it's controversial sitting down with Trump. The conversation about COVID is very controversial. At least during that time it was. Oh, it definitely was. To jab or not to jab, that is the ongoing polarizing question during that time, right? And of course there was theories and speculations about the poke and about what the bug and all that stuff, right? It was absolutely insane. Nonetheless, she has had interviews with all kinds of people. Okay. Now, the thing is that I guess that is a concern that maybe somebody became obsessed. That might be a shot in the dark. And if it is, so be it. But that is a thought and a possibility nonetheless. That maybe this was motivated because of somebody becoming a fanboy or a fangirl. I don't know. We don't know who this person is. So again, wondering what's going on here, right? What happened here? Who took her? Why did they take her? If it wasn't financially motivated, why did they take her? Just to cause pain and sorrow and havoc? I don't know. But one thing is for sure, something is really strange. Something really strange is going on here. Something very, very strange is going on. And I hope she gets found very, very soon. Now, I do want to share this with you guys real quick. It's a little bit of a left turn, but it has to do with the Epstein file stuff. Okay. But this is something I did want to share with you guys nonetheless and talk to you guys about it because this broke earlier today. So I want to share this with you guys here really quick. So the Clintons are now agreeing to doing an in-person deposition. There it is. In the 11th hour to avoid contempt for not showing up in the first doggone place. So they're now going to do depositions with the Clintons, Bill and Hill together. Depositions. It's going down. Let me just share this with y'all real quick. All right. Yeah, NB7. I think that this is going to be an absolute nucket. This is going to be nucking futz. It's going to be a mess. Okay. This is going to be a mess, y'all. But get ready. All right. Hold on to your butts. So Bill and Hill have agreed to appear for an in-person deposition in Washington, D.C. in the congressional Jeffrey Epstein probe, caving in hopes of avoiding a looming House contempt of Congress vote. So they might have been locked up, y'all. Just so you know. Just so you know, they could have gotten locked up for not showing up to the first hearing that they were supposed to have. Just so you know, they were supposed to testify sometime last week, if I'm correct, and they did not show up. They refused to testify. That is insane, by the way. That is insane, and that looks really bad. Okay? Let's move on. It was not immediately clear if House Oversight Chairman James Comer will accept the 11th hour offer, nor whether the full House will still vote to hold the former president and former Secretary of State in contempt for their repeated refusals to testify for months. And you know now that there's like 3.5 million files that have been released, okay? Some things have been poorly redacted, by the way, and some things have been overly redacted, like some things that have Trump's name in it that have been redacted. There have been photos of Trump's face being redacted. There are photos of not so great content that deal with littles in the worst kind of way that have been revealed. Photos, by the way. So everyone can look at that stuff rather than that being deleted, which they said anything that had to deal with littles, they took out. No, they did not. They left some of that stuff in. So they did a very sloppy job. Very sloppy job of putting this stuff out. And then, of course, there's moments where they try to protect Trump and redact his name and his face. But then at the same time, there's other ones where he's been mentioned like thousands of times in these documents. Now, mind you, I'm going to say a lot of them are complaints, and those complaints have not been investigated or looked into. So they're just allegations. They're just claims. But at the same time, they're pretty gross. They're pretty disgusting, those allegations. And the fact that they did no investigation into any of that stuff is absolutely appalling. But moving on. Still, the latest proposal, which has not been independently reviewed by CNN, shows the lengths to which the Clintons are willing to avoid the vote, which could ultimately carry legal consequences. They negotiated in good faith. You did not. They told you under oath what they know, but you don't care. But the former president and former Secretary of State will be there. They look forward to setting a precedent that applies to everyone. This is what a spokesperson for the Clintons said in a defiant post to Comer. Comer said in a statement Monday evening that he still had questions on the offer. So the Clintons' counsel has said they agreed to terms, but those terms lack clarity yet again, and they have provided no dates for their depositions. The only reason they have said they agreed to the terms is because the House has moved forward with contempt. They don't want to get locked up. I will clarify the terms they are agreeing to and then discuss next steps with my committee members. So the top Democrat on the Oversight Committee, however, said he didn't see a scenario where the panel's chairman didn't accept the offer. The Clintons, he told CNN, had accepted every single term that has been laid out by Comer. We've said from day one that we wanted Bill Clinton to testify in front of the Oversight Committee. We've been repeating that, and we've been working obviously with their teams. And so I'm glad they're going to testify. Just hours later, the Republican chairman, unsatisfied by conditions the Clintons' legal team sought to place on their cooperation, appeared to set to move forward with the contempt proceedings. It's been nearly 6 months since your clients first received the committee's subpoena, more than 3 months since the original date of their depositions, and nearly 3 weeks since they failed to appear for their depositions commensurate with the committee's lawful subpoenas. Your client's desire for special treatment is both frustrating and an affront to the American people's desire for transparency. So the House Rules Committee was setting the perimeters for such a vote when the latest proposal was made. The offer from the Clintons' attorney came via email in the middle of the committee meeting as Comer was testifying about the contempt proceedings. It wasn't the Clintons' first attempt to avoid proceedings. Through their attorneys, the pair had made multiple offers in recent days, including a 4-hour in-person voluntary interview in New York, which Comer had rejected earlier Monday. The earlier correspondence obtained by CNN revealed that the Clintons' team had been in search of an off-ramp for days. Attorneys for the former president and former Secretary of State have been in discussion with the Republican-led committee multiple times since lawmakers from both parties voted in January to hold the Clintons in contempt for refusing to appear for in-person depositions as part of the panel's investigation into Epstein. So again, they have been they've been doing everything they could to avoid doing this deposition. And now when their ass is basically stuck between a rock and a hard place, they've literally painted themselves into a corner. They're trying to find a way to they're trying to maneuver. They're trying to see if they can do it, but here's a caveat, or we'll do it under this condition, because they don't want to get locked up. They don't want to get locked up for a situation like this, but they also think that there's strange dealings going on. That they have to do depositions, but there's plenty of other people that have never even been investigated yet in connection to Epstein and his disgusting ring of people. Damn near 30 plus people. Right? It's not great that there's 30 plus people that are out here that have never been investigated, that have never been thrown under the bus, that have never been exposed. They are just hiding in plain sight, and they bought their freedom. They bought their way out. The DOJ went out of their way to protect those particular people. Why? Mind you, by the way, we have 3.5 million documents that have been released. You realize that's not even the whole thing? That's a little more than half. They say there's about 6 million files in total. They're holding on to the other 2.5 million files. Why? Why are they holding on to that information? What's in there that they don't want people to see? Remember, they also said that they also removed things about death. Why? Oh, let's just be real. Because Jeffrey Epstein murked people, okay? Or he had people murked. Or other people asked him to have these particular people get murked. Who are those people that got murked? Were these littles? Were they all just littles? Were they all just innocent people that were getting put through the ringer? Being ST'd and HT'd out here? Trafficked like a mug? Were they the only ones that lost their lives? Or is there more? But they held all that information out. They're not giving us that at all. Now, here's the thing. What I'm saying here has nothing to do with Trump. This is just Epstein I'm asking questions about. And if Trump is involved in some nefarious things, then yeah, expose that ass. Get his ass, serve some justice. But he's not the only one. He is not the only one. 29, Ghislaine Jizzy said some things. And she may be just talking for the sake of trying to say that she has the upper hand, that she has leverage on Trump. Clearly she does, because he was willing to move mountains change her location from one prison to a whole other one. Club fed, they're calling it. She's getting served hand and foot. Okay. Like I said, feed me grapes. She's getting fed anything she wants. She gets all these added amenities. She even gets to go and hang out and cuddle with puppies. Lucky her, right? For such crimes that she has committed. Lucky her, she gets to roll around with a dog named Fido. But nonetheless, she has the upper hand somehow. And she said some things. She dropped the bomb last week. We all saw that. We talked about it. So it's not only just the Clintons. It's other people too. Who would they be and why are they still free? We heard all these names in these files so far. You're hearing the likes of Jay-Z and Pusha T and Robin Leach and all these names. But were they really there? Are those allegations true? Remember the allegations about Trump doing terrible things to these women? Terrible. Calendar girl parties and stuff that he would throw. Allegedly. We don't know if that stuff is true. Elon Musk, that Musky Musk, begging to go and be to be at his private parties on the island. Are those things 110% true? All I'm saying is that, of course, if everyone's side-eyeing that, we should be side-eyeing this too and asking as many questions. What does Hillary know? What does Hillary have anything to do with any of this stuff? Now, I already know the rumors and the speculations about Hillary Clinton, okay? We already know about Trump. Know about Bill Clinton. We already know about Billy. We already know about him. But at the same time, I feel, just like anybody else feels, that they need to do their deposition and call it a mother-loving day. What are they so concerned about? What are they scared of? What do they got to hide? If they ain't got nothing to hide, do it. And just be done with it, man. But if it's about to, incriminate you and stuff, good. Because if you did something bad and illegal, you need to pay the price. But they're not the only people that should be interrogated in this fashion. They're not the only ones. More is coming. Trust and believe more is coming. I hope it does. I hope more is coming. Because it can't just be them. That's stupid. I mean, cool. If they get exposed for something, bet. Let it go. Okay? Let it go. Let it flow. But at the same doggone time, if this deposition is just nothing, and this is just theater, then we're going to have a problem, guys. There's going to be a lot of angry people out here. By the way, there also have been victims' names that were accidentally unredacted. Like they didn't do what they said that they were going to do. So now you got victims that didn't want their names exposed. Now their names have been exposed. You see what I'm saying? There's other victims that don't care about their names being out there. They don't care. Right? But then there's other ones that want their names to be covered, to be redacted, so that they can live their lives in anonymity and not worry about the safety of their lives and their loved ones. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And yet, oops, they just expose it. You know what I mean? It's just dumb. It's just dumb. But let me get some of these super chats here really quick. So General Genobi, what's up? Thank you so much for the love. FYI, City of Minneapolis and the people have been nominated for 2026 Nobel Peace Prize. Word? Okay. That's a new one. That's new info. Wow. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys this. I might as well do it now. So I'm going to do it now. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Speaking of Minneapolis, we do need to discuss this. This is some news that happened just a little bit ago. But Alex Pretty's death has been ruled as a homicide. What did the medical examiner say? Just so you know, it has been ruled a homicide. Remember, this case is being handled differently than Renee Nicole Good's case, just so you know. This one has been ruled a homicide. Let's take a look at this one. It's interesting when you have the local departments doing the investigation and not when it's being handed over to the DHS, okay, or to FBI. Just saying. So the unaliving of 37-year-old intensive care unit nurse whose demise in Minneapolis has sparked protests nationwide was ruled a homicide, according to the ME, the medical examiner's report that was made public today. So he was fatally shot by DHS agents deployed in Minnesota as part of President Trump's crackdown on immigration enforcement in the state. His killing has rocked the country. The White House has moved to recast its approach to fulfilling Trump's promise of mass deportations. Opponents around the country have taken to the streets to say Pretty's unaliving shows the president has gone too far. Medical examiner for Hennepin County determined that Pretty's unaliving on January 24th was a homicide caused by multiple gunshot wounds. Homicide. According to the report, Pretty's fatal wounds occurred after he was shot by law enforcement officers. ICE. A coroner's ruling of a homicide indicates that someone's death was caused by another person. It does not necessarily mean murder. A homicide ruling typically triggers an investigation into the demise that will aim to determine whether the unaliving was justified or not. So the DOJ, Assistant Attorney General Todd Blanche, announced January 30th that the agency had opened a civil rights investigation into Pretty's unaliving. A spokesperson for Homeland Security told USA Today that the incident is being investigated by the FBI with support of Homeland Security investigations. Uh-oh. By the way, I don't trust that. I don't trust them farther than I can throw them. Okay? I don't trust that at all. You got the FBI with Homeland Security investigating it themselves. Customs and Border Protection is conducting its own investigation as well. I don't trust it. Period. I don't trust it at all. I don't. We've already seen the BS. We've already seen the BS, guys. Okay? We've seen the BS countless times. Homeland Security officials have not identified the agents involved in this incident, but in a report obtained by USA Today, the agency said 2 agents fired their guns during the fatal encounter with Pretty. The agents were placed on leave. Investigative news outlet ProPublica, identified the pair as Border Patrol agent Jesus Ochoa and Customs and Border Patrol Protection Officer Raimundo Gutierrez. Crazy. That's crazy. Jesus and Raimundo Gutierrez. Interesting, right? Jesus and Raimundo, both Hispanic. Yes. What a wild world we live in. Moving on. USA Today has reached out to Pretty's family for comment. The Trump administration has moved to change tactics in Minnesota in response to intense backlash over Pretty's killing, especially after top officials' initial characterization of this tragedy was contradicted by bystander videos. And thank God those videos exist. Moving on. February 2nd, Homeland Security Secretary Nome announced agency of officers would begin wearing body cameras. Wow, congratulations. Now they're wearing body cameras. Now they are. Trump replaced his top official on the ground in the state with border czar Tom Homan. And Congress is currently debating a 2-week extension of DHS funding to allow time for negotiations over steps such as implementing body-worn cameras. So here it is. Kristi Noem is finally starting to bend and go, okay, all of them have to wear body cams. Fine. Because she needs the funding. She wants that funding. She wants that money. She wants that monies, guys. That's what she wants. So she's going to do whatever she can by any means necessary. You know, Bovino is gone. He's been kicked out. He gone, right? Now you got Tom Homan, border czar Tom Homan, coming in to do his thing, okay? But she's trying to do everything she can because she wants that money. If she gets that money, she can build that team, build that army even bigger, okay? Louisa, thank you so much for the super sticker. Thank you so very much. Be quiet for today. Thank you so much. Welcome to the family. And just like Be Quiet for the Day, please consider becoming a member by hitting that join button down below. Welcome to the family. Kathy, thank you so much for being a member for the past 2 months. I appreciate the support. I think someone was in her house when she got home. That's a possibility too, that maybe someone was hiding out in her home and then she got attacked, right? That is a very good possibility when it comes to this Nancy Guthrie situation. And don't worry, I'm keeping an eye on this. When we get some more updates, I'll be here to break the news with you guys. Trust and believe. I'm hoping she's found safe and sound, right? Claire, thank you so much for the love. It's not gated. So so the neighborhood is not gated, okay? That could, and so it's easy for anyone to just drive down and just pull into the driveway and do a whole lot of bad, right? Mad Chatter, thank you so much for the love. I appreciate it. I think there's more. I think there's more than they're letting on. Why isn't family speaking and pleading for her return? Even having Savannah, I think Savannah State. They will even Savannah State that they will give anything for her return. Maybe they don't want to give the person who has her, the abductor, power, right? Or start giving them some ideas. I mean, the statement that she did put out was very a very staple type of response, like, thank you guys so much for the prayers, blah blah blah, we're focused on trying to find her. And I think that's what it is. I think that she, alongside her family, are probably doing exactly that. They're focused on trying to find their mom, right? I think that's one of the main things that we have to remember. So maybe they really haven't done or want to do that. You know, if you really think about it, someone who does the news, you know what I mean? Like her, she's an anchor. She does the news every single day. I bet you she's like, I really don't want to be on camera to talk about this. Like, I don't want to do that at all. I don't think she wants to be the story, you know, which is totally understandable. It's absolutely understandable. But, you know, we don't know how we don't know how people react to certain things. Like, you know, like we don't know how people grieve. We don't know how people are when somebody goes missing or anything of that sort. Some people, you know, boots on the ground, you know, in full tactical gear, ready to fight and look for them nonstop, won't sleep, won't eat, will stop at nothing to get their loved one back, right? And then other ones hide out. Others hide out. Everyone does things different. Everyone reacts to these kinds of traumatic situations completely different. So again, maybe there will be more But for right now, they're like, these are the crucial moments. These 48 hours are absolutely crucial. And we need to focus on trying to find her right now. You know what I mean? So let's see what happens, right? Yeah, talking about the news and being the news are two drastically different things. It's night and day. Maybe for her, it's like, I don't want to, nope, I'm not doing that. Not unless I have to. Not unless it's been a week and she's nowhere to be found. And we are out of options and we have tried every option and the well has run dry. But they're not there yet. I have hope. But the fact that there hasn't been a ransom letter or a phone call made by somebody, if it was a situation of, a ransom situation, that hasn't happened. So where could she be? And why was she picked out of anybody else on that street? That's something we're all going to have to wait and find out. But like I said, guys, when there's more information about this, I'll let you guys know. I was hoping that there would be another press conference at some point tonight. Maybe there will be. If there is, I'll be back here to do, watch it live with you guys. Okay. I'm sure there's going to be one very, very soon. All right. But that is the show. I appreciate all y'all for being here. It really means a lot. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Do me a favor before you head out. Hit that like button down below. Crush it. Do what it do. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on these other platforms. If you are watching on these other platforms like Facebook, X, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, Twitch, Kick, make sure you hit that follow button. Subscribe here on my YouTube channel. Subscribe. Please and thank you. Subscribe. All right? Hit that notification bell. Set it to all so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload, because honestly, it is random. A lot of times it's breaking news stuff. So make sure you do that, okay? Hit that join button down below. Become a member. Check out my Patreon. And, of course, check out PascalMerch.com. PascalMerch.com. We got some really great stuff over there. PascalMerch.com. All right, guys. It is time to get going. Much love to you guys. Stay safe out there. Praying for Nancy Guthrie's safe return. And when we get some more updates, I'll be right back here to give it to you guys. But in the meantime, it's time to get going. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. This is the Pascal Show. Bye.